I guess the only relief I've just realised from actually compiling this list is at least we've only got 23 awards now instead of 24.
At least you're not the stupid person that decided he wanted to say 26 multiple times during the last show.
Well,
Well, I can't do math. Everyone knows this. So this is what we've waited the entire year for. Bright Guy says that's not the donkey.
that came up in the news this week because apparently that donkey named Perry from like Sanctuary in California is basically what they used to draw Donkey from Shrek.
Oh, there's no
No,
headphones.
that's not the donkey. That is maybe like definitive article with a capital T donkey. I don't know. It could be worse. I could just give you Craig. We've got Craig from that Halo trailer. Anyway. Welcome.
So yeah, we waited all year for this. Literally waited. It seemed like 6 years for this at this point because that's what it felt like last year, trying to get to this point. So yeah, this is what we waited forever for, and this is when we, obviously not the time frame, but this is when we try to predict what in the living daylights is that thing on my screen right now. Anyway, so I will say right now that we are going to take a shot. We're going to be predicting all of our Academy Awards categories tonight. And of course, we should have started this back in August. We kind of did a podcast back in August, but then again, life kind of got away from us. And here we are. We don't have guilds to work with. We don't have any sort of help from SAG.
Some guilds.
We're just kind of flying blind right
Most
now.
of the guilds have got their nominations in. If I have a quick look through, yeah, the animated are through, production design, the sound mixing, the costume, makeup and hair, and sound editing. Not that matters with the sound mixing.
Well, we don't have directors, so that's helpful.
But the visual effects, that they announced their noms tomorrow, and the cinematography I think is Tuesday, and the editing one is Thursday. Along with
yeah, we've got.
let me just have a quick look. I might as well get the dates out of the way now. The PGAs are Monday, the DGAs are Tuesday. So it's all happening basically this week.
So yeah, that's the reason why, unless something changes, which I don't see a reason why it will, next Saturday night, we will be back here with our BAFTA and Guild predictions.
Mm-hmm.
All concisely in one podcast. So yeah, there you go. Cold open. This is what we do. Restaurant quality. My name is Owen. Joining me as always, we have Ashley.
Tatsunuki versus Capcom.
And sporting a very awesome Bill and Ted's Excellent Halloween Adventure t-shirt, we have AJ.
Yeah. I'm it's another one of those years where there's some things that I don't have a lot of confidence in.
Same.
But I'll go into the whole people need to shut the fuck up monologue right before we start that I have to do every year. So
yeah, this is it. This is what we've waited since day one for, and we're gonna try to predict every single category. Now we've been doing the Big Eight, and we would generally do the Big Eight every single month. That didn't work very well. But now we're getting to everything. Right, guy says we have echoing issues. Keep us aware of what's going on, Brian. I obviously can't hear anything because I got everything muted.
I need to.
But yeah. Now we're going to predict everything. And let's get to our 2021 Academy Awards predictions. And of course, this also will continue our contest. And the great thing is, I can not completely confirm yet, but I should be able to confirm next week that we will be live. Are we live? Yes, we will be live for our reactions to the nomination morning. And then right afterwards, if you're new to this channel, we do a recap podcast. So we're doing 2 podcasts. One is going to be just like a straight up reaction. We're not looking at chat or anything. We're literally just going to react in real time.
Followed by live analysis.
And then we're going to just analyze the daylights out of it. So that's going to be fun as well. So we got a lot of stuff coming up. And before we get started, obviously, given what I also support on this channel, a new GCW champion. Anyway, tomorrow night is AEW Revolution. So yeah, ain't no Popcast happening tomorrow night when it comes to awards shows because precedence, my friends. So Monday night around 6:30-ish, we should be live to give our reactions to the Critics' Choice Awards. So I will be very much enjoying AEW in this very computer chair when we would have been doing a podcast. So, yes. And of course, I'll keep track on my phone to see exactly what's going on with the awards and try to keep up on it. It's going to be more of an AJ Ashley show, really. But I'll at least give my opinions on how badly I sucked predicting. So, but anyway, let's get to our first. Oh, go ahead, AJ.
Well, the good thing about you not really having seen anything is the whole thing about not being able to really be swayed by potential bias, intentional or not. So this is usually the part where I do the whole thing. I'm just so tired of saying it at this point. Like, it's just on autopilot, but yet somehow it still tends to go unheard. But I'll say it again anyway. Obviously, predictions are a guessing game.
Yeah.
With no right or wrong answers until nominations morning. And with Oscars, there's always going to be curveballs. It's never going to be exactly one thing because another body said so. And the whole thing where you could say somebody's stupid for going with something, but the only people that sound stupid are the ones speaking in absolutes before nominations have come out.
Wow.
But I can say this now, but because we're
some
live,
people that we can say are sort of locks, like Chadwick, but you can't say definitively that'll be the 5. You can never say that.
I don't think we have any category where you can say definitively something is the 5 this year.
Yeah, rarely there'll be an instance like supporting actor 2009, where it was Waltz, Plummer, Harrelson, Damon, and Tucci, pretty much the whole season. But I don't think that happens very often.
No, not even close.
And we can go through all this, and I know the problem is with the fact that we're live streaming is the fact that even though I'm saying all this now, there's still going to be somebody that might drop in the middle of this thinking they're big shit, and we'll hear something. But I assure that person also, that dumb fuck as well, whoever that may be, that it's anybody's guess, really.
Right.
So there's really no need to ridicule anybody for saying any particular thing, unless it's like way out of left field, like. But I think you get what that would be. So,
of course,
yeah. Like I said, I'll say that again. Not that it's going to matter, because there's always going to be some fucking idiot. But, yeah. So, and I'm looking, like, what's in my hands right now is SAG. Because it's, as far as like being influenced by other bodies, I will say right now before we even start, as far as my Oscar predictions go, it might as well be like the Globes never happened. Like everybody jumps on that thing of, oh, this won the Globe, that means it's happening now. Spoken like somebody that's never watched an award season in their life.
How many seasons, AJ, have we said literally the Globes just don't matter?
Yeah, and the worst are the fucking people that bring Critics' Choice into it. And the funny thing though is that even when you look at like, you know, maybe some Hail Mary predictions or something, or No Gus No Glory predictions or whatever, some people that only made Critics' Choice might show up. But that's not because we're basing it on Critics' Choice. It's because Critics' Choice just fucking nominated everybody. So it's the odds line up. That's why they do that. That's why their best actor has 8 slots for some reason. So, yeah, that's how I felt going into these. So, and I said the only thing that we have that really matters are like the guilds, but even sometimes the guilds don't matter. Like how many times Bill and Ted showed up in makeup at the guilds and it wasn't even shortlisted. You get stuff like that, or the fact that Emma was nowhere to be found at the Production Designers Guild is fucking weird.
Well, a film that I backed on Kickstarter, which has the Bill and Ted connection, Alex Winter's Zappa, got a lot in the sound mixing and the sound editing. Nowhere to be found in the shortlist for sound.
Craziness.
So, is that pretty much our preface? Is that everything?
Yeah, that's AJ basically giving you the business exactly how this works.
So it's basically what we're saying is give your predictions, tell us why, then shut the fuck up.
Or in my case, just say what I have to say and then be done with it, because I don't really have much reasoning for some of these things. So yeah, let's do this.
All right.
First category.
I guess we just usually just going by the order that I have.
I have the wiki order, so I'm curious to see what your actual order is.
Yeah, this is an order that is pretty much just randomly selected by me. I try to keep it the same one every year, but I never quite remember.
Nope.
We're gonna start with visual effects.
Okay, good.
So I have The Midnight Sky, The One and Only Ivan, Soul, Tenet, and Welcome to Chechnya.
That's so bad, man.
I had Love and Monsters in Welcome to Chechnya's place until I looked up what is going on in Welcome to Chechnya, and I think that's like so unique and interesting that I could see them going for it. And another case with visual effects is oftentimes it's kind of the whole thing of what has the most, which was somewhat put to rest when Ex Machina won, but still more often than not it would be something like you can imagine something like Love and Monsters kind of being here because there's so much. It's very interesting to me that Bloodshot was shortlisted, and I almost kind of went with it.
Everybody's trying to get me to go with that, AJ, honestly.
Yeah, like that effect of Vin Diesel's like face blowing apart is really cool for a movie that was not really cool. And but as far as what I do have, Midnight Sky, space movie, like just it feels like a good bet to go with the space movie.
Accurate.
The One and Only Ivan. I said this when I talked about it after I saw it, and I know it was a lot of what people were talking about when it was coming out. That a lot of people were not sure if that was a real gorilla or not. Like that's how that's how good those effects are.
So it's the space one and the Jungle Book one. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, or Kong was coming back to me as well.
Yeah, but it's like the live action animals.
Yeah. Soul wasn't really occurring to me until I saw it was shortlisted, and then that was one of those things where it's like, yeah, the movie's beloved enough and there's enough like unique things about its appearance going on that I could probably see them doing that. And Tenet just seems like a pretty easy choice as well. The Nolan movies usually are, so that's how I came to that 5.
All right. What do you got, Ashley?
Sort of similar. I have. Hang on. There it is. Love and Monsters, Midnight Sky, One and Only Ivan, Tenet, and Welcome to Chechnya. I don't know where. I just because Soul was animated. I don't know like whether special visual effects is as obvious or noticed as much or given as much credit. Because
because Kubo got in visual effects, didn't it? But the difference is the whole with stop motion, you can kind of imagine it more being a player.
Because that was a mix of like CGI animation but with stop motion stuff. So it sort of takes the elements there. Just really the concepts of like Love and Monsters and Welcome to Chechnya, and the concepts that they have just seems like it's an obvious shoe-in for this. Tenet I just think is obvious just because of the scale of production, because there's always at least one blockbuster. Admittedly, the only blockbusters really that we've got, the other 4 that I left out in Soul, Mulan, Bloodshot, and Birds of Prey. But I think I don't feel comfortable with Bloodshot, which probably means it's gonna get in. It's gonna be the Suicide Squad or the that's gonna be on the when they re-release the DVD in 5 years' time in 4K or something. That's when they'll put nominated for an Oscar. It's like, and people will go, what?
Yeah, another thing about Love and Monsters, I just mentioned Kong's nomination a few years ago, and a lot of the monsters in Love and Monsters remind me of the monsters in Kong Skull Island. So that almost kind of gives us a little bit of precedent going on.
To say, I guess it's too early to say Godzilla versus Kong is probably going to be in next year.
I would say it's probably a good bet.
It might get in the short list of 10. Whether it actually gets in the 5, I don't know. But yeah, those are my 5.
As always, I have a little bit of column A, a little column B. I really feel in retrospect that the One and Only Ivan, I'm going to end up kicking myself for not putting it in my list. I bumped out Mulan at the last minute because I originally had something else in there, and I took it out for Mulan, and then I thought about it a little bit harder, and it felt more likely to go with this as the other option instead. My lineup's pretty much the same as both of yours. The only thing is there's something I have that neither of you went with, and it's not that I have a lot of hopes for this movie. I feel that this movie is being underestimated. In some cases, like, I think Minari is like the movie that everybody's expecting to do very well, and I feel that it will. Same with The Trial of the Chicago 7 and Nomadland. But in this case, the movie that I think they're underestimating and that I'm putting a lot of stake in, and that's Mank. So Mank is something I have in visual effects, along with The Midnight Sky, Soul, Tenet, and Welcome to Chechnya. Mulan was my last cut. The only one I was not completely sure about was Soul. And obviously, I would have seen this by now in another year, of course. But yeah, I think it makes sense just in the little bits and pieces I've seen in the movie. And of course, the really awesome display we have in Epcot right now. So yeah, that's something that I'm currently like bombarded with every single time that I walk into my precious rotunda, even though I can't see the show there because of social distancing. But I still am given that really awesome promo for Souls, which is, it gets me more likely to go with it for visual effects, just seeing what I've seen about it. Tenet's pretty much a no-brainer at this point. Like AJ says, don't ever doubt the space movie.
Yeah, before we go on, what was that?
Go ahead. I'll try to keep on chat as much as I can. Ashley, I'm sure will do the same as well.
While we're in the tech category, I suppose what we should mention also is one of the things that's usually really fun about the Oscar nominations is how much they kind of spread the love in these categories.
Yeah.
It is worth noting that it almost kind of feels like you're not quite sure what to do because of last year. Because last year was so fucking boring in the tech categories because it was basically all the front runners. They just hit for like every of the tech categories. Like they didn't even think about it.
This doesn't make sense. I don't care.
So hopefully we don't run into that again. But
we'll see.
So yes, let's go into this new and improved sound category.
Okay, we're gonna get out of that one because that's not the next one I have.
See, I really wasn't quite sure. I feel like I kept hearing it, but it was only just recently that I realized, yeah, this is the year where they have done it. They combined the sound categories.
Right when you finally figured out which one was which.
Yeah, I'm still like kind of on a high of that, predicting the Ford versus Ferrari 1917 split correctly, but. And it just seemed to make so much sense too. And it's like now that it all makes sense, we're just going back to one category. I can't remember the last time this was one category. It's been a long ass time, but yeah. So this is another category where, as usual, as this category always was anyway, just kind of anybody's guess. I went Greyhound, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, Soul, Sound of Metal, and Tenet. It was basically battle of the Tom Hanks movies for that last spot between Greyhound and News of the World. But I went ahead and said Greyhound, and then as far as Ma Rainey and Soul, there's a lot. This is a category that's often you don't realize how much music plays a part in it. And we have so many musically themed movies. And what's interesting is Sound of Metal is a musically themed movie, but it's the way it uses sound is so insane and amazing. Like, it didn't occur to me till after the fact, oh yeah, it's also another musically themed movie. But there's just so much to how they do the sound that's kind of the last thing you're thinking about. And obviously Tenet. Everybody bitches about the sound in Nolan movies, but they still always get in anyway. So
what do you got, Ashley?
I have Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, News of the World, Nomadland, Sound of Metal, and Trial of the Chicago 7. I want to put Tenet in there, but just because of I know it's separate now, but I just think with the mixing being so bad, it's not enough to have it just be considered generally for sound. I guess News of the World is my war film. Technically,
it's a post-war movie, but
that's the one there. I think, Sound of Metal probably is too much of an obvious shoe-in maybe for this, because it's sort of the plot.
Yeah.
And accurately depicting that aspect. So, and yeah, something musical related nearly always gets in. So that's why I've gone with Ma Rainey rather than Soul, rather than both. I think they're gonna. Nomadland might be the sort of, I don't know, the odd one out here, but I just think there's going to be enough love for sort of like just getting sort of natural soundscapes and making it sound right rather than just like over extravagant sound.
Yeah, because it seems like there's always that one that gets nominated where people were never even thinking about the sound until after it was nominated, and then it kind of starts to make sense.
So wait for The Invisible Man for that one. I just think that to me stares out. I'd love to see Saint Maud do well though. considering that this is probably the only way it's going to get an Oscar nomination this year. BAFTAs, it will be nominated a lot, but Oscars, this might be its only chance, but I don't think it's going to be strong enough against the 5 I selected, or a few of the others, to be honest.
Right. First off, hi, Cassie. Brian says Dune will probably win next year, and brings up the Nightmare Before Christmas and live action remake of The Lion King.
VFX, yeah.
Okay. So again, we seem to have, and AJ has an inkling of some of my picks, but not completely. Ashley has zero clue. So it's kind of like neither of them know specifically what I'm going with, and I didn't know what they were going with until this conversation happened here in front of everyone. So my sound category is very similar to Ashley. However, once again, just like previously, and I'm sure I'll do a lot tonight, one difference. And again, from hearing it both from you guys, I'm starting to wonder if snubbing Ma Rainey here was a bad idea. Because in its place, just like with visual effects, I have Meg. But the best way to describe it is it's Ashley's list. Meg, News of the World, Nomadland, Sound of Metal, and Trial of the Chicago 7. See, they'll talk for like 10 minutes, and then I'll just quick blurb, and then we'll go to the next category.
It's sort of the situation. Mank sort of, with both of these, falls into that, as AJ said, now I think about it, I sort of notice it. To some extent. I don't know how much...
Understated VFX and understated sound is still something to get it nominated.
And also you've got to try and think of the Academy. And although the diversity issues they're still trying to fix, there's still quite a lot of old white men in there.
So the next one?
Where are we moving to?
Documentary feature.
Okay.
So, as we know, it's been the documentary branch's thing forever to pick out the ones that are mentioned everywhere and the ones that are pretty well known and have been seen by a lot of people, and not go with those. So stuff like Amy and OJ Made in America kind of slip through the cracks sometimes. But is Owen frozen or just really still?
Hold on. He might be frozen.
or he's dead.
Oh God, Thanos did the snap. He was the 50%. Oh no.
Should I?
There we go.
Okay. Should I go ahead and do documentary?
Yeah,
or...
I'm intrigued to see what you have in, because obviously Owen won't be swayed by us because he's already locked in his.
So this is a case where we have that thing again, where a couple of movies were shortlisted for documentary and international. And typically you would think, oh, that's not going to happen, because sometimes it happens with animated too. But Honeyland did it last year. So now a precedent has been set. A recent precedent has been set, I guess we should say. But yeah, I didn't really go much into any of that. So just throwing that out there, though, that's what could happen. For documentary, I have All In, The Fight for Democracy, Crip Camp, MLK FBI, The Mole Agent, and Welcome to Chechnya. Collective is something that's up for both. And was The Mole Agent also? I can't remember for sure.
Let me just double check. Yes, it is Chile's entry in the, I guess, the long list, or the short long list for foreign, yeah.
And this was a case where when you run down all the nominees and you look at what their subject is, you pretty much keep thinking, oh, that's a certainty. And then before you know it, you've gone through like all 10 going, oh, that's a certainty. And you're like, oh shit, now I have to cut 5 out. So, all in the fight for democracy, having democracy in your title seems to get you in. I feel like we just had a movie in that had a title very similar to this. And obviously Dick Johnson is Dead is one that's been really popular for a while now. And I'm wondering if it's going to suffer that fate of it's apparently too popular for the documentary branch. So that's pretty much the only. Apart from that, most of it is, like I said, all the subject matter you look at seems like, oh, in any other year that would get in. So really, like I said, it's just a matter of choosing the right 5 when it could be any of them. So that's. Plus, it would be weird if Welcome to Chechnya got in visual effects and not here, but at the same time, something we tend to all forget to take into account is we get so busy trying to make sure things add up. Like, oh, well, if this thing gets nominated here, then surely it'll be here. Yeah, there's shit that doesn't add up all the time. The one example that like always comes to mind is go back to right before the 2016 nominations came out and said, and tell somebody, yes, Arrival will be nominated for picture. Yes, Villeneuve will be nominated for director. Yes, it'll get an adapted screenplay. Yes, it might win 1 or 2 things, but Amy Adams won't get in. They would never fucking believe you. Sometimes there are just those things that don't add up. But yeah, so that's just the 5 I'm going. Well, isn't Crip Camp the one that the Obamas had like vaguely something to do with, which really helped out that was it American Factory was theirs also
last year.
So that's yeah.
When Apollo 13 went and no, Apollo 11 died.
11. That happens all the damn time.
Most of mine are similar on the subject matter idea, which as you say, that's why there's a lot there. It'd be like, this is the sort of the bait that the Academy would sort of pick up on. So I have gone with Collective, Crip Camp, 76 Days, Time, and then the, I guess, left field one, but the amount of award hype it has been getting in, certainly I think it's nominated in the PGAs, as well as I think it's BAFTA nominated, or in the BAFTA shortlist, I should say, for documentary as well. I went with Truffle Hunters. But looking into some of the subject matters of these, like Gunda. Gunda is about a pig with some sheep and some cows, and that's all it says. That's all it says is what it's about. It's like, how is this a feature-length documentary?
It was also I was kind of having this debate in documentary short also, where it's a thing where sometimes they will just go for the random shit like that. It's almost like they tire out on the heavy stuff.
Gunda, I believe, is from the producers, or at least the distributors that did Biggest Little Farm, that got a lot of press last year, as well as Honeyland. But I just feel Truffle Hunters, with arguably more of a sort of award sort of following that it's got, probably means it's going to get in here. 76 Days, I just think, is going to be their sort of way to tie in to something to do with the COVID relief fund that the Oscars will be doing, because it did so well for the Globes. So I think that's why it might make it in. But I feel very strong about Collective. Just the whole concept of that, especially because it's not just corruption, but it's also healthcare and corruption. Considering everything that the the globe has been through over the pandemic. That's why I feel more confident with certainly that being a lock, at least in my list. Now the question is Owen able to get back in?
I guess while we figured that out, I guess I should also mention, I said sometimes they'll just stray away from the heavy stuff and go for something random. I guess technically, I don't know if the pig documentary has heavy shit. It very well could.
Well, it's supposed to be very sort of like veganism, which to some extent is what Biggest Little Farm was as well last year, and gained a lot of popularity. I think it might have been nominated at the BAFTAs last year, but it missed out on the Oscars.
So I know it didn't make the Oscars, but I feel like I remember seeing it around. I remember hearing the trailer a number of times, weirdly enough.
I think it might have been either like at the same time as Apollo 11 and American Factory, in terms of like being at the producers or the Writers Guild or directors, the other guilds, along with the, because when I look into the details, I go like really detailed. So I've got like documentary for sound mixing, just in case that's an influence, maybe, and the same for sound editing as well, when documentary appears in that. Which gets confusing because there's at least 2 that are in the Sound Editing Guild Awards, which are TV movies. So it's like, oh.
So what do we do?
I guess. If you want to, I'm just having a quick look at chat. I don't see Owen in there, so whether he's had to restart his stuff and everything. I guess I just say we'll come back round to Owen for his picks, and I don't know. What do you want to? Just to make it easier, at least on me, do you want to do the shorts next? As in, I can copy and paste. So it's easy rather than how do I spell that name for like editing? Like, damn it.
Yeah, because I was gonna do 4 and an animated before I got to the shorts, but this it's like a smooth transition into documentary short. So we'll go to documentary short and then do the other shorts. So documentary short.
This is easier as well because there's only 10, so I can literally see them just on the edge of the spreadsheet that I've got.
And this is the same thing as documentary feature. All the subject matter makes all of them feel very likely.
Yeah.
As I was going down the list, I shifted and took out so many times. It's like, oh, this one's absolutely it. This one could even win. Oh no, it's not in at all.
The other factor that I'm also trying to do is I'm like trying to do a quota on each publisher. So it's like Netflix shouldn't have more than like 1 or 2. Amazon, might have 1. And then you try and work it out that way, because of how many are on the service.
The thing I always start with is usually the longest one gets in. Just because it seems just like to be a thing, but also I'm guessing because it has more time for the voters to get like more emotionally invested, so they're more likely to vote for it, I guess. So with that in mind, I said A Concerto as a Conversation, Do Not Split, Hunger Award, A Love Song for Latasha, and The Speed Cubers. The Speed Cubers is the one I went with because it's longer. And yeah, like I was saying, there's not a whole lot of strategy to that because they all 10 of them seem likely. It's just a matter of which 5. Like I said, sometimes you tend to want to go just for all heavy stuff because that seems to be the stuff that's the easiest to get in. But it's interesting how often they stray away from that occasionally, depending on what the options are.
Oh, there we go. It's portrait mode.
You're so vertical.
Yeah, but I'm using my iPhone now instead of using the stupid laptop. So yeah,
you are a dad recording a whole movie in 2009. Congratulations.
Oh, there you
go.
Oh God.
There we go.
Hit a card.
How's that? Is that better?
I think so.
Well, you're. Is it just me, or are you clearer? Like really clear?
iPhone 11. Come on, of course I'm clearer.
I mean, you may not be clear on YouTube where we're all pressed together, but to me, you look clear.
Uh-oh.
Okay, so sorry about that. Real quick, welcome Mr. Top Hat. He says he gave his predictions. We'll get to that in a minute. So first off, I'm going to do my documentary predictions. Same thing, very similar to what you're both are saying. I feel like we're on the same page, but we're not completely flipping the same page at the same time. If that makes any sense. My best documentary feature I have is Crip Camp Disability Revolution, Dick Johnson is Dead, MLK FBI, Time, and Welcome to Chechnya. Like AJ mentioned previously, I don't think it makes sense for it to get one without the other, but it could happen, so I call him the double nom for the movie. I think that makes sense in my head. Dick Johnson is Dead is one that I've been seeing for a while, and yeah, I feel like it's getting in here. Crip Camp seems like something I can easily imagine someone saying and before a commercial break. So needless to say, I think it's going to get in as well. MLK FBI, of course, it always do well in the circumstance, and Time just kind of jumped out at me. So yeah, that's what we're going to go with.
So on documentary short for me, it's relatively similar throughout the 5 match. So I have Abortion Helpline, This Is Lisa, Call Center Blues, A Concerto as a Conversation, A Love Song for Latasha, and Speedkeepers. I want Concerto as a Conversation to win just because I want to say Sal again. Because from what I can see of what it is, it's basically like La La Land and Soul together. It's just a love letter to jazz. So, having the advantage with at least some of these that aren't on Netflix is they are actually up like on YouTube to watch in full. And Call Center Blues and Abortion Helpline sort of got me really. Sort of very powerful stuff. I mean, as you said, AJ, all 10, probably deserve to be in. So it's just a case of, who doesn't just make the cut at the last stage sort of thing. To be honest, I just put Speed Cubers in there because it's Rubik's Cubes. I like it. It's probably the equivalent of Owen putting in Dick Johnson is Dead just because, the title. It's weird that, for the first time, we're actually sort of looking into the details of these, because previous years it was just look up the title. If it's weird, we're putting it in. Hell, the whole concept last year was we were enamored by Donkey with headphones. Okay, it made it in, but it didn't win, damn it.
And the movie, but it was a good movie, though. Yeah. I remember watching it. I loved it. Marked crazy when it happened.
Well, the thing about Abortion Helpline, This Is Lisa, that was the one I was talking about when I said I had one in and I was like, oh, this could win. And then I ended up not putting it in at all. And if you want to go by titles, just titles, as soon as I saw the title, the first thing I remembered was Crisis Hotline Veterans Press 1. It just immediately reminded me of that. But yeah, when you actually look at you don't even need to look into the subject. It is right there in the title. But Yeah, I didn't get a chance to watch some of these like I usually do before we do these, so I'm not going on as much as I usually am, but hopefully that.
That's why I want none of them to be on Netflix, so then I can actually like watch them. I know for one of the other, whether it's live action short or animated short, I was looking and it said it's like, oh, it's part of this film festival, and somebody in the comments said, I'd really like to see this. Seems interesting, and then they said, sorry, it's not allowed to be shown anymore, but maybe it will be at a festival afterwards. And it's like, okay, don't. I guess people don't want there to be Oscar buzz.
Likely. All right. So once again, it is another combination because this is how it is. My best documentary short film list. Call Center Blues was on mine originally, and I bumped it out because I wanted to put something else in. I guess we sometimes do go with just the names. At least that's one thing that I've been notorious for doing throughout the years. Sometimes it works really well, sometimes it doesn't. So we'll see what it does this year. I have Abortion Helpline, This Is Lisa. A Concerto is a Conversation. Hysterical Girl, A Love Song for Latasha. And What Would Sophia Loren Do? I think that title is just so out there that I feel, imagine it being announced on Oscar morning.
For a time, I had that in, as well as her getting in for actress. Just because I was like, well, if she doesn't win one, she's gonna win the other.
We will see. You're getting ahead.
No, but it was
anyway.
That sort of thing. I pushed her out of documentary short, as I say, because I was more enamored with Rubik's cubes.
Top Hat brings up Heaven is a Traffic Jam on the 405.
All right, live action short.
Live action short. I gotta find it again.
For a change of pace, we've got some heavy hitters in this category.
We got some recognizable names in this category too, just like we do every year.
We have, there's two, two like big standouts, which may or may not be reason why they're locked into my list.
So kind of like how the New Tenants had Kevin Corrigan and D'Onofrio in it. And the others were just by people that are just the usual random people that are in this category. So yes, I did. I can see people saying, well, maybe they will actually prefer to go for like the little people, if you want to call it that. But no, I bet on the names, and then I picked three others. So I have Feeling Through, Good Night. Good Night, I think, is under another title as well, if that's not recognizable. The Human Voice, The Letter Room, and Two Distant Strangers. Of course, The Human Voice being Almodovar's movie with Tilda Swinton, and The Letter Room with Oscar Isaac. So I think The Letter Room is another one I was kind of talking about documentary where it's like kind of bet on a longer one also. And I think it had kind of a somewhat longer running time than many of the others. If I remember correctly, Two Distant Strangers is the Groundhog Day one.
Yeah, it's the George Floyd Groundhog Day one. I mean, it's the best way to describe it.
Which, like I said, it's still weird because like a few years ago, somebody made that video like as a YouTube video, but as a comedy. But it was the same concept. It was just very dark. And the other two just kind of sounded right. So once again, not a whole lot of strategy here except for the. Like I said, it wouldn't be.
No. Damn it! I need to shut.
Even more comfortable betting on the bigger names.
Go ahead, Ashley.
I'm just trying to find out which one's Good Night. Wikipedia, please tell me that one's Good Night. Yes, there we go. Annoyingly, I
can't remember.
I also went with it.
I can't remember what the other title was.
Well, I'll tell you in a minute. Because I need to put it there. Because if we're going in alphabetical order from how they'll hopefully pronounce it at the... So, pretty much 4 of the 5 are the same. So I might as well go through them first. Yay, which is good night. Human Voice, because it's Almodovar. The Letter Room, because it's got Oscar Isaac in. And Two Distant Strangers, because the concept just seems... The concept, just as it comes off the paper, just seems like something that would probably, you know, with issues over the past 12 months, it just seems like a shoe-in. My other one is Bitu. Because... reasons. I wanted to... I was looking for sort of the one that seemingly had the sort of... the strongest... sort of grip as something to sort of fit in and whatever, and the fact that it's like two like school children that are best friends, that somehow get involved with like a poisoning at the school.
Yeah, something like that.
So to me, it's just like, maybe sort of Donkey with Headphones-esque. Like, no, but it's like two children that are sort of, by chance, sort of like a crucial sort of like linchpin by doing something.
Yeah, because I was also thinking about what was that one where the kid like sank in the cement or something a couple years ago? I can't remember the title now, and I think it won.
Like,
somebody might tell us in chat.
Oh, incidentally, Top Hat says his predictions: abortion hotline. This is Lisa. Take a shot. A concerto is a conversation. Hunger Ward, a love song for Latasha.
Mm-hmm.
And Top Hat says Human Voice, Kicks Leg Choir, Letter Room, The Present, and Two Distant Strangers. Top Hat, I was very much on your bandwagon for quite a minute until I changed a couple of those around. But yeah, I did stick with Kicksled. I kicked out, pun not intended, and Present I kicked out as well. But my lineup for Best Live Action Short, filling through The Human Voice, The Letter Room, Two Distant Strangers, and just watching the very, very, very minutes long trailer, or I guess seconds in this case, I went with The Van.
Yeah, that's another one where it sort of does seem like an interesting concept, you know. He's a couple of fights away from finally getting out the fight business. Then again,
it's like really
partly
awesome.
That just feels like the opening scene of Jason Bourne. You know, the 5th Bourne film, because isn't that the same? He just gets out of a van and gets in a fight.
Fair. Yeah, it's fine with me.
It also kind of has a Donnybrook vibe to it. I don't know if anybody else saw that movie, but
I'm sure someone in chat has.
All right.
Reading the trifecta now.
Animated short.
Yep.
All right. We have Burrow. If anything happens, I love you. Cape Mahu, is that how we're saying that?
I think so.
Traces and Yes People. This is another one. This one, for some reason, I have a distant memory of this category being much easier than it is now.
I can see.
Well, you know,
So this isn't based
it's somewhat
on.
concerning because obviously, like, 3 of the 10 are the big studios. You know, To Gerard is, I think, DreamWorks. Out is
Yeah.
Disney. And then Burrow is Disney Pixar.
I say it's hard to tell which one's which when they're not playing in front
Yeah.
of movies at the theater.
They're just stuck on Disney Plus.
And stuff like Traces and If Anything Happens, I Love You. It's just kind of the thing where it's like they tend to go for like really sort of unique animation. I'd say those would count.
I remember the day these were fun categories to watch too.
Yeah, there used to be so many like comedies in the animated short category, and now they're just also fucking serious. Oh god, are we losing him again? Oh, good.
I guess the big shock here is I went with Disney but not Pixar.
No.
So my list is If Anything Happens, I Love You, Captain Mahu, Out, The Snail and the Whale, and Traces. Snail and the Whale is in here just because the animation studio has precedent. It's the guys that did Zog, that got nominated a few years back, that did Gruffalo's Child, Room on the Broom. Basically, if it's written by Julia Donaldson, they probably did it. Which probably means next year Zog and the Flying Doctors is probably going to make it in here. Because it's from them. They haven't won. And, you know, it's the sort of the light-hearted child's tale in this serious shit. Which is why I stuck it in. Although Opera was like a last-minute kick out for Snail and the Whale, because like a music film that's in 8K seems like an interesting concept and something that the Academy might go, oh, and everyone goes, what? But yeah, I went for sentimentality along with like the serious stuff of like school shootings and transgender deities and coming out and things like that.
So we're talking about the animated short category,
Yes.
correct?
This is serious.
Okay. First off, Mr. Top Hat gets one of the lines of the night so far. It says the year Sing won for best live action short. I kept thinking how they get that koala to wear a suit.
How did they get?
He's going
how did
with
they get him for a suit for the sequel? That's what I want to know.
Burrow, If Anything Happens, I Love You, Kabamehu, and Opera and Out. Oh yeah, Bry Guy brings up Revolting Rhymes as
Out
well
is
for
also Pixar,
Snail and the Whale.
apparently.
Correct.
Well, somebody needs to
Once again,
tell Variety, because it just says Disney Plus. At least Burrow says Disney Plus / Pixar. Damn it!
I like Variety. It's been very.
Well, to be fair, it's the guy that got fired from award circuit because they just shut that down in August last year. That was sort of my go-to list of like having an idea of like what was in contention and stuff.
Well, Ashley and I are. Now I understand the reason why Ashley and I are matching so much. Anyway, best animated short film is going to be for me Burrow, If Anything Happens, I Love You, Opera, Out, and The Snail and the Whale.
After going through the other previous nominees, I'm wondering if I should have considered The Snow and the Whale a little more, but now I'm a little worried. Well, I was worried anyway.
It's always that issue.
Whatever.
It's like, I saw that fucking Christmas 15 months ago. Why is it here now? That's always the same.
Fair.
Like the new Shaun the Sheep, like, short that might be coming, I think, Christmas this coming year. It'll be like, well, that's going to get in the 2023 awards, isn't it? Well, 2022, because it's always a year behind. But
Top Hat part of the Pixar Spark short here.
Ah, okay.
All right. And we're out of the shorts, and just like my old computer chair. And comedy for 2 is still comedy. Yep. Knew I'd pop you there. Let's get out of the shorts and move on to the next category.
That would be international.
Okay.
Which I'm still trying to get into the habit of calling it that.
All right. Let's move that.
Be slower on this one.
Here's another
slower
category
on this one, AJ, because you're probably just going to say the name of the film, whereas I'm looking for the country. Because that's always the order that they do it at the Oscars. It's like, yes, another round might be from Denmark, but Bosnia and Herzegovina is first.
Well, yeah, yes, I am starting with another round.
Okay.
And then Better Days.
From Hong Kong.
Then Collective.
From Romania.
And then Sun Children.
From Iran. And
Two of Us.
From France. Okay.
Lots of different. Ashley, go ahead whenever you're ready.
Well, I might have given you a clue from the two because of the ones that I listed. Because yes, I've won with Quo Vadis Aida from Bosnia and Herzegovina. Another round from Denmark, which I do like the fact that the Danish one I think is basically just drunk in Danish. Tell us how you really feel, Phil. Two of Us from France, La Llorona from Guatemala, and Collective from Romania. Yes, I think it's going to do the double, the daily double. And the amount of momentum that La Llorona seems to be getting, I think I don't know if it was the Hollywood critics that put out their awards yesterday that gave it, and it's had a number of significant wins in terms of foreign. It's always complicated because every other one is probably going to put Minari in foreign. I'm pretty sure at the BAFTAs, I think it's foreign. I need to double check on my thing, on my long list sheet. If I can find it. Where is it? I keep scrolling past.
Likewise, Cassie. Enjoy the rest of your.
I keep scrolling past it. Yeah, Minari's in foreign language in the BAFTAs, which means it isn't. Yeah, it's not actually in the Oscar. It's not in the list for Best Picture in terms of BAFTA, but it is an international. So
what's keeping Minari out of the Oscar race the change of the name of the category?
Possibly.
Even though,
but then because it is a US release, it's like, that's why it's probably campaigning as much as it is, so it doesn't get lost in the shuffle.
I was considering La Llorona a lot, but I don't know if it's the genre I thought they might have. I mean, to my understanding, I still haven't watched it yet. I've been meaning to, but to my understanding, it's like much more drama than it is horror, but it still has like those elements. And I wasn't sure if that would be entirely something they would go for or not.
I mean, it's not a concentration camp, but it's some sort of like camp scientist or whatever that's sort of reflecting on what happened. Also, the thing that swayed me to put it in is mainly the country, because they do like every year or so to put a country or two that hasn't had recognition before as a sort of like way to showcase stuff, and I just think that could be a possibility as well. I'm always wary about, maybe I shouldn't have put 76 Days in where I did, because I'm always wary how the Academy wants to treat China, because they want to be in China's good books. So the fact that, technically the Hong Kong film, are they going to have to say China? Otherwise, China will be putting sanctions or something. It's always that touchy issue. But no, those are my 5.
Top Hat says it's more psychological, like Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah.
And nomination ballot, Bry Guy says, for international was voted by everybody, not just the international branch.
Mm-hmm.
Top Hat's predictions are Another Round, Collective, La Llorona, Two of Us, and Quo Vadis Aida.
Oh, copying me. I like it.
Again, starting to wonder why I didn't go with Collective here. I mean, the GCW connection jumping out of me literally the whole show. I didn't go with it. Yeah, so my international feature film. Actually, I'm going to do it with so what you're wanting here, which of course is going to be the country first. That's how I did it. I did it by. So I have Two of Us from France. I have Another Round from Denmark. I have La Llorona from Guatemala. I have I'm No Longer Here from Mexico, and The Man Who Sold His Skin from Tunisia.
Okay. I'm pleased that we, at least still at this point, we're not at we're literally copying each other completely. There's one that each of us are sort of mainly going for that isn't in the others' lists. So we are sort of spreading it.
It's got 4 M and ends with a K.
Monk? Tony Shalhoub? Hell yeah.
Continue.
So, animated feature?
Yeah.
Okay, well, before I say this, I just want to confirm. Was there not like a short list of this one? It was pretty much just the submission list?
From what I can tell, yes. I need to quickly have a look. Yeah, it wasn't entered as a short list, and I don't know how many were entered outright, so if I have a quick look. No, I want news. I don't want the winners from last year. Yeah, so the short list is 32. No, that's last year. Great. Thanks.
I don't see one this year.
Oh, the requested page cannot be found.
I could be
All
wrong.
right, so I guess I'm just gonna say mine, and if there's one that's like ineligible, I'm just fucked. Like,
Go right ahead.
all right. My big concern was Earwig and the Witch.
Hold on, I'm trying to.
I'm assuming it's eligible.
They've
so,
actually they've got.
On top of it, I also
page.
have.
I'm just gonna check. Earwig and the Witch is in. It is eligible.
It is.
Yeah.
Panic.
It is.
All right. The other four are Onward, Over the Moon, Soul, and Wolfwalkers. I'm just not feeling the Crudes.
Same.
Even though I'm seeing it show up a lot, but then again, obviously we had shit shows like 2017 when the Boss Baby and Ferdinand were there for some reason. But
Ferdinand
I'm hoping 2017
Ferdinand was a good film. Don't shit on Blue Sky like that. They got killed despite giving us the best Peanuts movie in years. Damn it. Just because you had to do so many fucking Ice Ages. You fools.
Ashley, your Vinnie Jones impersonation aside, let's go forward.
Basically it's the same, except I'm going with Crude's A New Age, along with Onward, Over the Moon, Soul, and Wolfwalkers. You know, Wolfwalkers is there because it is the G Kids entry. I don't think they're going to be daring enough yet to put 2 in. Although I would actually probably shit my pants if Lupin the Third got in. Like, holy crap. Hell yeah.
Well, as far as stuff like that happening, didn't they kind of feel the same way about I Lost My Body and Klaus? And they both happened?
Fair.
The problem is Klaus was the Netflix machine. Whereas really none of them is Earwig and Witch Netflix?
I want to say it's G Kids as well.
Yeah.
I believe it is according to Variety.
Because that's the thing. Most people consider Wolfwalkers Apple Plus, even though it is G Kids.
Yeah, that's what I see.
Even though it is G Kids as well, and over here, you know, given that it's, you know, European, and to be honest, I think it's in there and it's strong enough just because of the other 2 films in the quote unquote trilogy. Which is probably why the second G Kids could get in, but also there needs to be one film that is like, why is it there? I still love the fact that it's eligible for BAFTAs, even though it's not coming out until probably after the BAFTAs. I'm getting so annoyed at distributors because somehow films are eligible for BAFTAs now, even though they're going to release over here after the BAFTA limit, including apparently Promising Young Woman, which was supposed to come out last week, and now they're pushing to May the 17th because they're desperate for people to watch it in cinemas, even though the eligibility cuts off at like first week in April when the BAFTAs are. So it's like, even The Father, which I think is like out in August, somehow it's eligible for BAFTAs. Shit the hell. What? I wanted to rant there about Vass rather than rant about it later. I just felt it was appropriate because, like, who asked for a Crude sequel, really?
It's fair.
In all honesty.
Top Hat says.
Go ahead.
Top Hat says Crude, Onward, Over the Moon, Soul, and Wolfwalkers. Top Hat says Over the Moon, Best Picture and Annie's, but it got a hefty amount of noms. And Top Hat says Earwig Kids on HBO Max. I saw that too.
It's Warner Brothers. Boo.
Oh, this is funny because this doesn't normally happen either. AJ and I match 100%. Have the exact same he does. Earwig and the Witch, Onward, Over the Moon, Soul, and Wolfwalkers.
I'm so conflicted. I want Crudes to be better. At the same time, I really don't.
We did get it for free with my company. They're like, yeah, we'll give you a free copy of Crudes. And I was like, thanks, guess. What's next?
Are we ready for music categories?
Oh, let's do this.
All right, let's start with song.
Okay.
This was another one where I kind of had 2 fighting it out. And I've got one that's kind of like, we'll get there. I have Turntables for All In, The Fight for Democracy, Fight for You from Judas and the Black Messiah, Scene from The Life Ahead, Rain Song from Minari, and Speak Now from One Night in Miami. I was trying to decide between Fight for You and the Chicago 7 song.
Yeah, my voice.
Yeah. Because Turntables and Rain Song, I don't think I've shown up much, but once I saw that they were here, I was just kind of instantly feeling, especially with Turntables being Janelle Monáe, and how beloved she is, seemed to make sense. Because I know sometimes that's what you have to pay attention to, is who is doing it.
Yeah, that's
and I'm
that's
just kind of
interesting thing though.
I'm just kind of all in.
When you look at the list, I think we've had more this year compared to previous years of it being, okay, that's a famous person, and then Scene, because it's, I've forgotten her name, Diane Warren. That's the only reason that gets in. It's her. She gets nominated every year.
Please tell me that was a joke. Please tell me that was a joke when you said you forgot her name.
Briefly. Because apparently they forget to put her in the winners column every year. The bastards.
Yeah,
Can you tell I'm still...
I just kind of feel comfortable.
We've already talked about it on this over the past few weeks. Can you tell I'm still bitter from that Sam Smith snub? Damn it.
Of course, makes sense.
And I just kind of feel comfortable going all in on Minari. So Rain Song just made sense to me.
Right.
And like I was saying, it really just came down to the Judas and the Black Messiah song and the Chicago 7 song, but obviously I went Judas and the Black Messiah, so... And the others, I feel like Scene and Speak Now seem pretty comfortable, at least now.
All right. What do you got, Ashley?
Pretty similar. Fight for You from Judas and the Black Messiah, Scene from Life Ahead, Rain Song from Minari, Speak Now from One Night in Miami, and Hear My Voice from Trial of Chicago 7. I'm probably making a mistake with Janelle Monáe, but especially because it seems to be every year that a song from a documentary makes it in here. I haven't put any in. Damn it. But I'll ride it out. It's nice winning the nominations, right, but I guess I'm too proud and trying to regain the crown this year of overall picks. But there's a lot of... secretly I just want the bloody Eurovision Song Contest one and Borat in, just because the performances, if they happen on the night, will be actually interesting and not political or messagey.
It feels like there's quite a few times where they do go for that, like when Everything Is Awesome got in, or when Happy got in. So you can kind of see them going for the one that's more entertainment value.
You want to talk about a really good example of that? I would go with Blame Canada.
Yeah.
With Robin doing that performance was amazing.
That's what made it, really. That's what made it, because like Robin Williams wasn't in the movie, but they just got him to sing it. I want pre-recorded Cohen dressed up as bluegrass hillbilly Borat doing the Wuhan flu song, just like he did in the actual thing.
I had it. I literally had it in here, and then I thought about it. I was like, maybe not. And
of course, the big thing with Wuhan flu, if it did get in, people would be getting 10 Academy Awards, because that's how many writers there is on it, which would be a record.
Fair. Top Hat says, Scene, Fight for You, Hear My Voice, Speak Now, and Turntables, and also mention there's one song that's usually the serious song of the season, but this time pretty much all of them are that.
And Huskovic.
Right, guys. when a cowboy trades his spurs for wings.
Yeah.
And also asks, does that mean Writings on the Wall for original song is the worst Oscar winner of the decade for Ashley?
I'd have to look into the details. Like in terms of something that got. Ooh. I'd have to look. I'll get back to you when we need to do filler in between the breaks at the Academy Awards. Because part of me is thinking, like, you know, a Roger Deakins getting snubbed for Skyfall could be pretty high as well, but I can't remember what won that year.
Bry Guys today is Brave.
Life of Pi is a pretty good winner.
What'd you say, Jay?
The Life of Pi is what beat Skyfall.
Yeah. Bry Guy's response for you for worst would be when Brave won Best Animated Feature.
That's what I was gonna say.
You are the work for a reason, Brian. He also mentions Rain Song is basically Pi's lullaby. So yeah, not going with Janelle. Yep, same thing. I think I'm actually 100% with what Ashley's saying this time around for Best Original Song. I have Fight for You from Judas and the Black Messiah. I have Seen from The Life Ahead. I have Hear My Voice from Trial of Chicago 7. Rain Song from Minari. And Speak Now from One Night in Miami.
You know what Minari is also giving me vibes of here is that song from Her. Can't remember, was it the Moon Song, I think it was called?
Moon. Yeah.
Yes. I remember that was performed in the Oscars.
All right, score.
You did.
Are we ready for score?
Yes, we are.
We've got kind of a fight going on here. In here of all places.
I'm not sure if I made the correct choice or not. We're about to find out.
I'm not really sure either. But what I said was Mank, The Midnight Sky, Minari, News of the World, and Soul. Minari was a last-minute inclusion. I had Tenet in its place. But I'm just wondering if, like you're talking about, the complaints about the sound, like is not just, you know, the mixing being off and weird, but if the score, I know the score is acclaimed and everything, but like, is it maybe also potentially too bombastic that it might put people off compared to other
options? At the same time, I'm wondering whether people judge it by just listening to like the soundtracks that are separated, whether it's done on like technical work of the actual score rather than specifically how it's put into the film, because that might be part of the whole sound editing, sound, you know, amalgamation. So
as far as I remember, that's how they do song, is they get song within the context, but I'm not sure how score works. And obviously Trial of Chicago 7 could be another case, which is Daniel Pemberton, who is very acclaimed but has yet to get in. And it's like you can use he has yet to get in as, oh, this is his time, or he could use it as maybe he's just not their cup of tea. Because the only time I really remember the score of the Trial of Chicago 7 is the very last scene, and the very last scene is the only scene people hate. So I just kind of bet against him. So yeah, I kind of wasn't sure about the Reznor Ross doubling up, but if anybody's gonna double up, it might as well be them. And obviously, Desplat doubles up here all the fucking time, like regularly, so they don't mind doubling up in score. Especially with Soul. Soul's probably like the, you know, kind of the front runner, right?
I'd say so, with the momentum behind it.
It's like, come to think of it, I'm not even sure what Soul's competition would be.
The one thing I always look at, you know, whether it sways my pick, is I look at the Grammys, and like there's one film from last year in the Grammys for score, and the other stuff is stuff that didn't even get considered at the Oscars. It's like, oh great, that's easy. So my 5 are Mag, Minari, News of the World, Sal, and Tenet. Yeah, I went with probably the mistake of leaving out Desplat, but you know, he'll have the French Dispatch next year, so he'll probably get in he'll probably get in 5 times next year. He'll just sweep the category. I will make my point of order once Owen has made his predictions.
Okay. I said at the beginning that there was a movie that I was saying was going to overperform that a lot of people are not betting on as much. The funny thing is in an ironic twist of fate, you both went with it and I didn't.
Oh, shit. Mank!
I do not have but I have a very similar list of you guys. The Midnight Sky, Minari, News of the World, Soul, and Trial of the Chicago 7. Mank, I think, belongs here based on my predictions for everything else. Because I have it, spoiler alert, doing American Hustle style numbers, and we know what happened with that movie last time for me. So.
Because it rhymed.
I don't think, not even close, but watch me say that, and now I just jinxed the movie forever. But yeah, I feel comfortable with this lineup, and like mentioned previously, I don't think Soul really has much competition until something else proves that it can win score.
So the point of order, which I think I mentioned some point when I noticed it in the long list for BAFTA, but apparently it also cropped up in Oscars. Why is Ammonite here? It has basically no score at all for practically most of the movie, yet somehow it makes it in for score. What is like? Is the rushing of waves considered score? Are we getting that ASMR with the awards this year? What?
It's just the Oscars just kind of follow Saoirse Ronan everywhere she goes, regardless.
So it's like a really boring blue is the warmest color.
I was gonna.
Without made the movie enjoyable.
Now I'm getting concerned off the top of my head because I'm thinking they're only liking Promising Young Woman is because it involves Margot Robbie.
They're wrong. Top Hat says Mank, Midnight Sky, Minari, News of the World, and Soul. I want to put in Tenet, but I don't know what I'd take out. Top Hat says can't take a shot. Can't believe Sal Volcano from Impractical Jokers won a Golden Globe for Best Original Score.
All right, makeup.
Makeup and hair,
yeah.
Makeup. All right. I have Emma, Hillbilly Elegy, Mank, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, and Pinocchio. It wasn't until this short list came out that I realized Roberto Benigni got another stab at Pinocchio. I believe I was confused because I saw he was in it and I was like, didn't he make this in like 2002 when it was considered one of the worst movies of all time? And it's like, oh no, he's Geppetto now apparently.
Yeah. He realized his
and I saw some of the pictures.
Mistake.
And I saw some of the pictures from it, and it's like I could see that happening, and it'd be the offbeat choice like fucking Border was. I know some people might go towards Birds of Prey because Suicide Squad won, but here's the thing about that. Another thing I'm so fucking tired of saying. Everybody has made it a big whole joke for the last 5 years that Suicide Squad actually won an Oscar, and it was for makeup. And people say, because they put that shitty makeup on Jared Leto and they put some white paint on Margot Robbie's face. And which is basically what they're thinking in that regard is about what you see in Birds of Prey. And it's like, Did these people just block the existence of Killer Croc out of their heads when they say that? It is very abundantly clear the only reason Suicide Squad won the Oscar for makeup is because of fucking Killer Croc. It was not because of Leto or Robbie or whatever.
Prosthetics. Why else did Dankest Hour win? Because we made Gary Oldman look fat. Why else is Pinocchio, spoilers on my list, getting in? Because he looked like wood. Why is it? I might as well go through. Birds of Prey. For me, it's in because there's a lot of people. So there's a lot of makeup and hair to be done. Hillbilly Elegy. Because you made Glenn Close look mank. Then, ironically, mank as well. Along with Ma Rainey's Black Bottom and Pinocchio. Yes, I'm leaving Emma out, which is probably a mistake, but I think it's spoilers more akin to the costume.
Okay.
Well, there's also the whole thing also of this category being expanded to 5 slots, and it's like sometimes it's like we're probably going to get cases where something just needs to be thrown in there.
Watch it be Jingle Jangle. I don't know what that is.
The chat.
I'm kind of afraid of that. I do not want a David E. Talbot movie. A David E. Talbot movie cannot be nominated for an Oscar. He is one of the worst fucking directors making movies right now.
Is it? I guess it's good that I don't. I shouldn't look into it then. AJ his back catalogue.
This is the fucking guy. This is the fucking guy that made Baggage Claim and Almost Christmas.
Oh right, sorry. The war wound just opened. Now I know who you're talking about. Oh.
Well, Saul this year could be our new meme according to chat right now, so maybe that's possible.
I'm gonna have to go through like Oscar-winning movies that have a character that has Sal in or something, and we're just gonna have just a different Sal for every stream. When Soul wins its animated award every time, it's just look, it's another Sal.
Al Bandini's one of them. I don't care. Top Hat says Birds of Prey, Hillbilly Elegy, Mank, Ma Rainey, and Pinocchio. Win's a win, bruv. Jingly, jingly. I am helpless and stupefied. Very similar to both, but again, a mixture. Yeah, I have Emma, Hillbilly Elegy, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, Mank, and Pinocchio.
Oh, so it's AJ's list.
Yep.
All right. Speaking of what Ashley just alluded to, costume design is here. All right. So obviously, we know these two are grouped together. It's going to be costume design, then production design.
Yep.
And then we'll be at the Big Ten.
Oh dear God, let's do this.
All right. There wasn't really a whole lot of. I didn't really feel like I thought about this one a lot. I just kind of looked at the list and it's like, yeah, these feel like the 5. Emma, Mank, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, Mulan, and The Personal History of David Copperfield.
Oh, I forgot about Copperfield.
I mean, I hope David Copperfield gets in, but yeah.
All right, that's good. Go ahead, Ashley.
I need to copy that because I forgot that was in the list. Wait, is it in the list?
Pretty sure it better be. I'm pretty sure it is.
I saw it on the tail end of predictions, so yeah, it's there.
I need to go to the Oscar shortlist because it like wasn't anywhere in mine, so now I'm really confused. Or did I delete the wrong thing?
Chat.
Actually, come to think of it, was there a short list? I may have just been thinking of the makeup short list in my head.
There isn't. Yeah.
I used all.
All right. Well, when I looked at my own list, I was like, yeah, that looks good.
Bry Guy and Top Hat are both talking about Pinocchio. Bry Guy brings up Benigni's Pinocchio. It was 2002, and it was a Razzie-nominated film for Worst Actor. Top Hat says, you got to read the whole movie's name. No. And remembers the McDonald's choice for that Pinocchio. Good times. Yeah, indeed.
No, that joke ended because it made sense with Borat because that was ridiculously long. Birds of Prey is just like they added it in because focus groups because that was like, but people don't know Harley Quinn is part of the Birds of Prey, and it's like, are people stupid?
Or her fantabulous emancipation. So there you go. There, that's the closest you're gonna get. Top Hat goes Emma, Mank, Ma Rainey, Mulan, and News of the World.
I have Emma, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, Mank, One Night in Miami, and Promising Young Woman.
Yeah, I know we, at least I have a tendency to underestimate modern costumes. They don't happen often, but sometimes they do sneak in.
The key thing is, that's the only modern thing that is in there. From either of our lists, AJ. And they always like to have at least in recent history, at least one that is contemporary clothing. Not just sort of period stuff. Which is why I basically went for it. Also, I'm boycotting Mulan. For the love of God.
I mean, I can easily just, without doing anything more, just saying I have Ashley's list. My costume design is Emma, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, Mank, One Night in Miami, and Promising Young Woman. As AJ knows, I always tend to go for the contemporary one, and it always bites me in the end, basically.
Yeah, I don't know whether Promising Young Woman's going to win, because it's not the woman that does Emma, who's like won multiple Oscars because she knows her period pieces. But yeah, I mean, I'd like to see David Copperfield make it in here, but I just wonder whether that's taking away from Emma and people are just more inclined to go for Emma. Because I guess the advantage that Emma does have, certainly in its presentation from Morton de Wilde, in terms of film work, is it feels contemporary but at the same time period. And to some extent you do get that sort of with the costume. I don't want to say it's like steampunkish, but so
it's not like Marie Antoinette levels.
Some of the Emma stuff does feel like, you know, those are things that people might, you know, wear sort of maybe early 20th century rather than out and out, you know, 19th century sort of period stuff, which is making me, it's triggering me with Rebecca.
Oh, God.
Ben, why did you make a bad film? You prat.
Next.
Prod deck. Designs cousin, production design.
Do some prod deck.
Yep.
I have Emma, Mank, The Midnight Sky, News of the World, and The Personal History of David Copperfield. Yeah, the guild be damned, I'm putting Emma here. That's Midnight Sky, kind of the same thing with visual effects. It's pretty safe oftentimes, as far as I remember, to bet on the space movie and production design. I think that the thing that really pushes me in that direction is fucking Passengers.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Same thing with Passengers also gotten Score, where I also have the nice guy. So, yeah, this Ad Astra was just like its own sort of anomaly. Like it doesn't count. Obviously, another choice here would be Tenet, which I kind of really wanted to do, but I think it was News of the World that made me bump it out. So yeah, but apart from that, I think I feel good about these.
All right. Brad Guy says Joker last year, for example. Top Hat goes, well, what if Clown Man wear a red suit? Oscar nom. I just like the alliteration of that statement, Top Hat. I really do. Brad Guy says, or the Tony Pro short.
Never be suckered in by alliteration and rhyming. I already said minutes ago. Why else do you think that it failed? David O. Russell's American Hustle.
You don't even get me started on that.
Rhymes. Rhyming shit is not allowed.
Production design.
I have Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. Yes, that seems like a paradox because how I said people don't like plays in terms of production design because it's just read the play script. But I'm sticking it in here along with Mank, Promising Young Woman, Try the Chicago 7, and Tenet because it has a building that implodes and explodes. How do you find that? I mean, okay, it's camera work, but whatever. You know, the fact that they have to shut off like 4 miles of a highway in Germany just so they can do the stunt because it's real. The stunt is real. You know, it's that sort of production design that I think they like with the Academy. There's always something in production design that is big scale, and if it's a Christopher Nolan film, it's probably big scale.
Accurate.
Unless, you know, who knows what network he's or what distribution company he's going to now? Because I'm pretty sure the bridge burned with Warner Brothers after what happened with Tenet, and the old HBO Max issue. So whether he'll get the same amount of freedom to be able to do as such crazy shit, we'll see. But I think it's probably enough.
Okay. Top Hat says Mank, Ma Rainey, Midnight Sky, Mulan, and News of the World. I have Ashley's lineup with one notable exception that AJ couldn't put in. So best production design for me is Mank, News of the World, Promising Young Woman, Tenet, and Trial of the Chicago 7.
Is that it?
Of course, I don't know.
All right, we're on to the Big Ten.
Yeah.
This one was really hard.
One where I think we're going, I agree with you 100%.
Editing?
No. The other one. But yes, continue.
Yeah, I have the 5 I'm going with, and then there were 3 that I feel like should be here or could be here that I couldn't.
Okay.
So I have The Father, Nomadland, One Night in Miami, Sound of Metal, and The Trial of Chicago 7.
Okay.
I really considered Mank. I really considered Tenet. I really considered News of the World. And I honestly am not even entirely sure how I came up with what I have come up with.
Go for
That's how down to the wire this category is.
So I can put it in the spreadsheet.
I put that in.
Just from the beginning. The Father.
Okay. Nomadland was next, then
When I'm Miami.
And
Sound of Metal.
because I got Trial of Chicago 7 in already. Because I was copying over from mine. and I haven't put The Father anywhere else, I guess. Or I have in mind, but it doesn't with columns and whatever. So with my editing, normally because it's swayed by more often than not, all of them make it into the best picture list, depending how long it is, of course, this year. I have Mank, News of the World, Nomadland, Promising Young Woman, and Trial of Chicago 7.
Well, it seems like there's almost always a big miss here. I nominate Once Upon a Time in Hollywood to take that honor from last year, which I still don't quite get how that didn't happen, but
Let's see what we've got for chat real quick, because I'm sure we have predictions. Yep. Maybe. No, we don't. Not yet. But AJ, nostalgia sells, says Top Hat.
I mean,
again, it's just kind of a mixture of both. So yeah, my editing lineup is going to be Mank, Nomadland, Promising Young Woman, Sound of Metal, and The Trial of the Chicago 7. At this point, I feel that I'm not saying this for subject matter because obviously I don't know anything because it's me this year. But I think Sound of Metal is Whiplash this year. And I feel it's going to do really, really well. And maybe I'm just riding on the fact that AJ brings it up like every second that we're doing a show. I think it's been drilled into my head that it's going to be a big time player this year. And I feel that an editing nomination is definitely something I can see happening. And I can say the same with Promising Young Woman as well. I feel that it needs the editing nom, and I think it's got a very good chance of getting it. Mank, Nomadland, Trial of Chicago 7, they seem pretty, like, foregone conclusion for me, at least. Potentially anything that's nominated in editing has a real shot at winning picture. Normally. Sometimes it's not the case, but in some cases it's going to be the case. So it's the exception, not the rule, but it just really depends. I feel that one of these 5 has a really good shot at winning picture. The only thing that I don't have on here that I feel that has sort of picture buzz, at least right now, is Minari. And I can't put Minari in this. And there was no way to put Minari. So I think I'm good with my 5. Maybe I'm not as clear in my mind that I want to go that route, but I feel that this is a good lineup, and that's what I'm going to go with. That said, Nomadland, Trial of Chicago 7. Bright Guy says, do I feel Nomadland is vulnerable here? Could be.
Yeah.
Well, they've both been brought up in this. What's that?
Well, no, I was going to say that there's always the possibility that because of how many long shots with Nomadland, it's like, you know, we always bring up like Vice, and it's like, did that just get in because of the amount of cuts that were made?
That's something. I feel like I'm going out of my mind. I don't remember that many long takes in Nomadland, but everybody's mentioning it. I just remember the one. But what I was gonna say was now that they've both been brought up together, big congratulations to Sound of Metal and One Night in Miami for getting picked up by Criterion. That's exciting.
Hey, you brought that up the other day. Not the viewers.
Why isn't Jingle Jangle getting a Criterion release? Oh, hang on. I already know. No, don't need to answer. Sorry.
All right. Are we moving on?
Can we do the same for bad films and have music be the inaugural part of the Criterion collection or something like that?
Wow, that's a really good joke.
Damn, I should have saved it for Oscar Sunday. Shit.
Something to kill.
That should be a thing.
That says it could be slower paced movies aren't always favored for editing. And Bry Guy says maybe the editor's branch doesn't like Raskin.
I have a bad feeling that that's true.
It sounds like
because he hasn't gotten in yet. But that's fucked up. But should we go on to cinematography?
Oh yes, please. Then we get to the top 8.
All right, I've got a 5 here, and there's only one thing I feel bad about leaving out. So unless I'm just really not thinking of something. I have The Five Bloods, Mank, News of the World, Nomadland, and Tenet. The only thing I wish I had room for was Minari. So I feel like I'm kind of in a blind spot, like a big blind spot, not having seen The Father. Editing's just kind of a wild guess, but I'm unsure about it. But The Father unseen, the only thing I feel like I would put here that I can't is Minari.
Feel bad now. You're about to find out why. But first, Ashley.
I went with Mank, News of the World, Nomadland, Tenet, and Trial of Chicago 7.
Yeah, I'll say that.
I am just, Minari is the one that I really didn't think of, but probably could get in. Possibly, it's always hard. Maybe News of the World misses out because people like the cinematography more of Nomadland. It's just always that issue, and mainly I'm just determined for Hoyte van Hoytema to actually get something. Look, Transcendence wasn't that bad.
It kind of was.
Cinematography was what was good, though. He did wind farms before they were cool. Or solar farms, that's it.
Bry Guy mentions Manchester by the Sea and The Big Sick being re-released in Criterion for Amazon. Question mark. Top Hat says Five Bloods, Mank, News of the World, Nomadland, and Tenet. So I know I wanted to put Five Bloods in here because not being able to give it as much recognition as I'd like to here, because I can't. There's no room for it, unfortunately, and I hate to say that because I went with a real wild card in cinematography. I've got Mank, News of the World, Nomadland, and Trial of the Chicago 7. My dark horse here is I'm thinking of ending things. Not something I'm seeing pop up every once in a while, but obviously they're not all on your guys' radar. So that may have been a dumb move on my part. Never thought of Minari here. That was probably stupid on my part. But the Five Bloods would have been the only thing I would have put in here otherwise, if I wouldn't have went for the wild card spot. But, I saw it as an option, and I was thinking, you know what? There's always curveballs every year, like we've mentioned numerous times during the show tonight. So maybe that's one of them. I hope so for my prediction's sake.
All right, are we here?
Yes, we're here.
The Big 8. What we usually spend half the year doing, and this is our first time, and it's March.
Yeah, sorry about that.
I'm very curious what these would have looked like back in August if we had done them, because I probably would have been way the fuck off. I'm telling you now.
all of us would have been, except for Ashley, which would have had a Hail Mary that would have made no sense at the time, that ends up 100% getting in. He was the only one that called it, just like every year. Brian, you know.
In all essence, it might not have been right from the very start, but the buzz for Father sort of started when around the London Festival, which was November, which, considering how everything's moved by a couple of months, I'd say is roughly sort of within the first month or two that we would have done monthly things. So that maybe that, at least in adapted, would have been my Hail Mary there.
Yeah, First Cow was something I thought about. I just didn't. I was going to, but I was like, no, can't do it.
I remember feeling it pretty early. Are we talking about cinematography for First Cow? I assume that would have been an early choice of mine, and it's yeah. All right, so adapted.
Yep. Cool boy.
All right. This is a case where I'm pretty comfortable here. There's just one thing that's looming in a sixth spot that may not be sixth, but I have it sixth. So my 5 for adapted are The Father, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, News of the World, Nomadland, and One Night in Miami. Obviously, with the thing looming over this, interestingly enough, being Borat. which isn't that out of left field, since he got in here the first time around. But I really just couldn't justify knocking any of these out for it. I mean, I could see it happening, but I just have no idea. Once again, News of the World is always kind of like my 5th. It seems like, because it's always the one fighting with the other choice. So it was kind of, is it Borat or News of the World? Is it?
That's always my response when it comes to that. Generally,
is it the post-war Tom Hanks movie, or is it Borat?
So weird.
That's where we are now. But I just went ahead and went with, because I know like I was saying, it's like after the Globes, everybody just really started taking the Globes wins super seriously, saying, "Oh, these things are in it now." And yeah, Globes certainly help your visibility.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as that is them eventually translating, not so much. So
maybe more so this year.
Yeah, I'm not really,
because apparently Academy people got their ballots to do the nominations on Friday, and they've got to be in obviously in time for the 15th. So it's like, it's literally given them 3 or 4 days to catch up on things like Mauritanian or the US versus Billie Holiday, or Father, or things like that.
But a way in which, and this is just a big assumption, but a way in which a Globe win could worsen things being in this particular spot is if if an Oscar voter sees Jodie Foster win, or Rosamund Pike win, or whatever, or Andra Day win, they're going into that movie already. Like, it gives that movie visibility, it makes voters watch it, but it also kind of, the fact that they've already won something that could be considered big, I guess, is going to make the voter, it's going to really heighten the likelihood of the voter saying that's it after watching it. Like, they're going to set their expectations really high.
Right.
If it's already won something. And I'm wondering if that's why a lot of Globe winners kind of end up falling. So I just don't put stock in the Globe winners, like, at all. So, unless they already had, the buzz going in. But, yeah. So, long story short, I'm with one obvious exception. I'm not jumping on any sort of Borat train and anything other than the one category it's always been likely. So,
okay. Top Hat says first cow I feel is getting shut out. Brad Guy says father started big at Sundance, I think. Top Hat also says father, Ma Rainey, News of the World, Nomadland, and One Night in Miami. And also states Borat is focusing all campaigning on Bakalova. I think the Mauritanian is going to have a good showing at BAFTA, but not so much at the Oscars. And Brad Guy brings up Little Women and Marriage Story should have one adapted and original, but I would replace all 5 original nominees from that year. Okay, Ashley.
The same, except I went with the Borat film rather than bloody Paul Greengrass. So yeah, Borat, subsequent movie film, Father, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, Nomadland, and One Night in Miami.
I'm sure it's no surprise to anyone that I'm about to make the same statement I made numerous times on the show, and I tell you I probably will not be the last time either. I feel like I am criminally underestimating the father here because I'm seeing it pop up a lot in your predictions, and I have it nearly nowhere. So my lineup for Best Adapted Screenplay is Borat, Ma Rainey, News of the World, Nomadland, and One Night in Miami.
All right.
The original.
I gotta preface something before I go into original. So obviously I've been talking about something all season, or for as long as we've been talking about the season, that there was one movie that's expected to do well that just didn't work for me personally.
Right.
And I obviously try to be as realistic as I can without bringing any personal biases in. I really do try that. Like if I like it's like because a lot of people get passionate about a movie whether they love it or whether they hate it, and if they're passionate about something they love, they'll kind of predict it for most everything. We've seen this with other times. But the same can go the other way, where if you're not so into a movie, it's like you can't automatically assume the Academy is going to feel the same way as you.
True.
But there's just something about Mank's coldness, and I know it's a combating thing because it's such a cold ass movie, but at the same time it's about the industry. So it's like which one is gonna overpower the other in regards to how the Academy feels about it. And it might seem like me saying Mank will underperform is based solely on my personal opinion of the movie, which would be dumb of me to do. But I'm just I feel like I've heard that even people that like Mank will comment on just the coldness of it. So with all of that in mind, I made a last minute decision going into this. So I have an original, Never, Rarely, Sometimes, Always, Promising Young Woman, Sound of Metal, and Try Chicago 7. Of course, my last minute decision was Never, Rarely, Sometimes, Always instead of Mank, where we would be getting a posthumous nomination for David Fincher's father, Jack Fincher, which seems like the kind of sentimental thing that would make a good story. But I've kind of been feeling the Never, Rarely, Sometimes, Always thing for a while now, because original is the kind of category that throws those kind of curveballs. Mm-hmm. And the question is which of the others would be bumped out? And when I looked at Mank, Minari, Promising Young Woman, Sound of Metal, and Trial of Chicago 7, it just made sense that Mank had to go. But yeah, I maybe I bumped out the wrong thing, but those 5 look really good to me without Mank there. So, like I said, that's not a personal opinion thing, at least as much as it can't be. But yeah, so there's that.
I'm pleased somebody put Never, Rarely, Sometimes, Always in it somewhere, because that was like so in, and then just because it really hasn't been able to, maintain the buzz. I think just because of the scale of the film and because of how early it was released in the year, when you don't get the other stuff behind it. So my list is pretty much the same. I have Judas and the Black Messiah, Minari, Promising Young Woman, Sound of Metal, and Trial of the Chicago 7. Again, I basically, for me, Sound of Metal was the thing that kicked out Mank. It was that I wasn't sure on. Minari, Promising Young Woman, and Trial of Chicago 7 are arguably the locks. And I just think they might try and do something different by putting Judas in there. And
I could definitely see that.
So that's my sort of reasoning.
Top Hat says it'd be very nice if Borat gets in. Top Hat also said Mank, Minari, Promising Young Woman, Sound of Metal, and the Trial of Chicago 7. Great minds think alike, Top Hat. The words and phrases the characters say in Mank are witty and creative, but there's no emotion behind any of it. Since Fincher wrote Mank, I don't think the Academy would pass up a posthumous nom.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of already taken care of this year. If you,
we're only allowed one person to be dead to get nominated. Damn it.
especially if that person may or may not do it twice.
Yes.
So, again, just surprising absolutely no one, my original screenplay lineup is Mank, Minari, Promising Young Woman, Sound of Metal, and Trial of the Chicago 7. I feel it's a very safe 5, and I feel that is your 5. We shall see.
Okay. Remember everything.
This category is as you know, this is my biggest problem of this entire season.
Yeah. Well, before I say anything, remember everything I just said about Mank?
Yep.
Okay, remember it. I did have to make another last minute decision here. A last minute decision that Cypher had nothing to do with. So, oh God. For supporting actress, I have Maria Bakalova for Borat, Ellen Burstyn for Pieces of a Woman, Glenn Close for Hillbilly Elegy, Olivia Colman for The Father, and Yoon Jung for Minari. Obviously, I just kind of immediately put Helena Zengel in for News of the World until I remembered how much on the Burstyn train I wanted to be. And I think we can get a little bit more into Burstyn later, but what I was talking to Owen about just yesterday, we had a long conversation about Helena Zengel's chances.
It's a weird conversation.
And the way I was talking with you was that child performances getting in aren't common. When you look at, like, just this past decade, we've had Haley Steinfeld in True Grit and Quvenzhané Wallis in Beasts of the Southern Wild. And they're very big players. And, like, Quvenzhané Wallis is obviously the lead. And we all know Steinfeld was the lead of True Grit, even if she was put in supporting.
She didn't make it.
The thing that made me... And I was
thinking off the top of my head, I'm guessing the girl from The Turning that showed up in Florida Project, she didn't get nominated.
Brooklyn Prince? No. So that's the thing. When you look at performances like Brooklyn Prince, another one that comes to mind is the thing that was making me go, oh yeah, Zengel's in, she's fine, was SAG. Until I remember that Jacob Tremblay got in SAG.
Yeah.
And then that's kind of what pushed me in then Zengel not being entirely, I mean, she's in a very large portion of the movie and plays a massive part in it throughout. But she's also, not only is she not as prominent as Steinfeld and Wallace were, but Steinfeld and Wallace are big performances. And Zingo's performance is extremely internalized. So when you look at like the rarity of a child actually getting nominated, I mean, it does seem like this past decade 2 seems like kind of a lot. Like that's how uncommon it is. She's kind of slowly started to get pushed out more and more in my mind. And pretty much the only reason I pushed her out was because I feel so good about Burston. Because the other 4 I feel comfortable with. I know a lot of people concerned about Bakalova because of she lost to Rosamund Pike, but I'll get into that in actress actually. But it's and obviously people are all in on the whole Close won't get nominated because everybody hated Hillbilly Elegy. Everybody that says that didn't fucking watch Hillbilly Elegy. They just keep saying, "Oh, the critics didn't like it." I genuinely stand by that Close can still win, assuming she gets it. I know I don't want to jump to the conclusion of anybody winning when we don't have nominations yet, but I just feel the short version is I feel really damn good about Close, to where I'm not even like budging her out of this.
Same.
Like I said, I'm prepared to be wrong because shit like that happens.
As I keep saying,
but yeah, that's pretty much how I ended up here.
As I keep saying, there's always a number of the acting categories where the film might be average or bad, but the performance somehow is enough to actually get it recognized for being a powerful performance.
Yeah. And I think it goes without saying, I think Coleman and Yoon I'm pretty comfortable with. I don't feel like Zhao's situation again. That's kind of what I was worried about before, because I was so all in on the farewell last year. But I feel fine about it now, so.
Okay. Go ahead, Ashley.
The short thing is, it's the same as what AJ said with Bakalova, Bursting, Close, Coleman, and Yoon. I was thinking of putting Foster in there, and there was the chance that Bakalova, but if they are doing the right campaigning, and if it is true, that all they're really pushing is that might be a more likely aspect, so that's why Foster got pushed out. I do wonder how much of a sway it will be. We'll find out whether it is enough. It's just I can't really work out, other than Bursting, God forbid, in terms of what else gets kicked out, because there's the possibility tomorrow that Minari, along with Nomadland, could be getting a lot of recognition from the Critics' Choice, which could actually mean that it actually gets actress tomorrow. But we'll see. I'm just trying to pad it out so I don't just say next Owen.
Oh no, you can. Padding's fine. I literally haven't eaten all day, so we're good. Best Supporting Actress. Again, this is the hardest decision I've had to make all season, weirdly enough. And that's the reason why we had the Helena Zengel conversation on the phone, AJ, because I really wasn't sure what to do with this. There's a lot of people I thought about bumping out. There's a lot of people I thought to keep in. There's people that I put in that I didn't have in originally. But everyone seemed to have the same boat. The only difference is I chose a different ocean to sail in than you guys did. Which basically means I have Glenn Close as well. I have Maria Bakalova. I have Olivia Colman. I have Yujun Zhang. And yeah, I went ahead and said it. Amanda Seyfried for Mank. I remember when this was the foregone conclusion of the beginning of this run. And now every day it seems like it's going further and further away. I might as well just keep with it because it's what I've kept the entire time. I put a lot of faith in Mank. It very well could be my American Hustle this year without question. But I think Seyfried needs to win in order to win an award in order to get into real contention here. I don't know if she will or not. And again, I am criminally underestimating the father here because I almost bumped out Coleman, and I was like, yeah, that would have been dumb. So yeah, I feel that I'm very comfortable with 4 of them. Seyfried, I'm still not sure about, but I'm still gonna go with it anyway. Top Hat says Bakalova, Close, Coleman, Seyfried, and yeah, my same list. The characters from News and Midnight Sky are too similar, but we all know X-23 is the best example of that character. Take a shot. Character archetype.
I'm trying to think of
a supporting actor
films that have that sort of style of character, but I'm too focused on the next one.
Yeah, I was gonna say, are we talking strictly like when the young actress doesn't have much dialogue? Because on the opposite end of that, the first thing I always think of is Paper Moon, which is the idea of the adult child just walking around thing.
Well, isn't
all right?
Isn't there like a kid in Minari that's getting a lot of credit as well?
Yeah,
not
in the name pop up a lot,
like the 9-year-old.
Oh.
As far as supporting actor goes, when I say I made a last minute decision, I mean it was like half an hour before we started.
Oh boy.
All right. For supporting actor, I have Chadwick Boseman for The Five Bloods, Sacha Baron Cohen for Charles Chicago 7, Dana Kaluuya for Judas and the Black Messiah, Leslie Odom Jr. for One Night in Miami, and Paul Raci for Sound of Metal. Until about half an hour before we started, I stuck with Jared Leto. But because I was kind of feeling a thing where it's like, the thing I was saying yesterday was Boseman is such a certainty to win it. Like, we don't speak in we try not to speak in absolutes because you always end up looking dumb. But I mean, is there anybody not saying Boseman's win for Ma Rainey is a certainty at this point?
I mean, not to say how it's similar to other, you know, how it's a similar sort of fate in that it's a posthumous one, but it sort of feels similar to the same extent with Heath Ledger and his supporting actor nod back in 2010.
Because I feel like when he got in both for SAG, we were in a place where it wasn't necessarily a certainty that he'd be winning for Ma Rainey. But this is one scenario where something that would happen at the Globes would probably have some sort of impact, which would be his wife's speech. Where it's like you see his wife give that speech, and it's like there's not going to be anybody that wants to take this away from her.
Not at all.
So if we want to do the posthumous thing and they want to honor Boseman, knowing pretty much now that he's guaranteed a win, will they think it's necessary to put him in for the Five Bloods? Because like we were saying, as good as he is in the Five Bloods, this is a case, unlike Ma Rainey, this is a case where the real life events are kind of playing a part in how the part is seen. And while there are scenes in Ma Rainey, one particular scene in Ma Rainey that kind of brings that out a little bit, for the most part, the performance by itself as is would have gotten him the win anyway. as we've said many times at this point. So I was really questioning him getting in, but the fact that the next one in line would be Leto, I just wasn't sure. And like I said, we could, if Leto gets in, I'm going to look back and kick myself because it'll be like, oh yeah, he got everything leading up to it, you know, or everything he got enough leading up to it that of course he would get in. But then I started thinking about the Daniel Bruhl's and when Timothy Chalamet was up for Beautiful Boy. And it's like there's always, because one that kind of falls in on this that I can fall back on when I'm thinking about somebody that did get in that almost seemed like an outsider, even though they were always in, was Renner in The Town.
Mm-hmm.
The Town wasn't really up for anything else, and it was like kind of that kind of performance. Like he's not the villain of that movie, but like there's an antagonism to him. So if Leto were to get in, he would remind me of Renner because it all played out like, oh, he got this and he got this, so of course he got in. But there's just so many Daniel Bruhl's and Chalamets that have happened, and Leto just really looks like he could very well fall into that. Because something else that kind of convinced me to go on the Leto thing for a little while was what people were bringing up in the chat about how The Little Things was shortlisted for a couple of things, so it's not like he's the only thing that has that movie in the race for anything, which would help. But just kind of at the last minute there, I just kept thinking back to especially Daniel Bruhl, who literally got everything going in. And that's kind of where I ended up putting Leto in my head. So I feel like the safer way to do this would be to bump out Leto and put in Boseman. And obviously Paul Raci sticks out when you look at everything else, but like I said, I'm just all like Minari. I'm also just all in on Sound of Metal, and he's one of those cases where he's got like he's got the backing for his history in the business that a lot of like regular moviegoers haven't seen. Like there's people that have a lot of respect like off screen for what they've been doing for a while. That like mainstream crowds may not be aware of, and it's and it's another case also where you have the critical favorites that often end up falling off, like how we had Ethan Hawke and Toni Collette a couple of years ago. And it would be, in that sense, it would be easy to see Raci just kind of falling off after being a front runner for so long. But I said, if they go all in on Sound of Metal, I don't see Raci missing. So that's how I ended up on him. And then obviously Cohen, Kaluuya, and Odom seem just fine. So
Ashley.
It's annoying. I was going to make this sort of big dramatic thing with the pauses and all that, you know, an air of mystery, and then AJ literally says my 5.
This is gonna be an easy segment then.
Wow, for this one, I don't know how it will go with the others. We'll see, because the common trend for the rest of the acting ones is there's 4 that are obvious locks for me, and then the 5th is basically a take a pick, and I just felt that Boseman being the 5th was just a stronger overall list than having Leto or, you know, some of the other names that are possibly in contention for this in there. So yeah, that's probably the only thing.
All right. Right Guy says, you know, they would say Cohen first, then Boseman. Top Hat says Cohen, Boseman, Kaluuya, Odom, and Raci. Top Hat says Raci is right on the edge, though. Anyone can take his place. No reason to elaborate any further for multiple reasons. I have the same exact list that everybody in this lineup does. Jared Leto was my question mark. And I felt that it was justified to bump him out. to do the double nom for Bozeman. Credit. Next.
And I know when we were talking yesterday, we were going down the Davis J. Theron road.
Yeah, some people are trying to get me on that bandwagon. I'm like, no. But if they like Nomadland that much, it's possible.
I say it really just feels like it's a matter of what they go all in on. So are we on actress?
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of all in, continue.
All right, this is kind of where I'm bringing back that whole globe thing. So I have Viola Davis for Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, Vanessa Kirby for Pieces of a Woman, Sophia Loren for The Life Ahead, Frances McDormand for Nomadland, and Carey Mulligan for Promising Young Woman. Everybody's going to be saying, but Andra Day won the Globe. But Andra Day won the Globe.
So
she very well could be here. Like,
yeah.
obviously that's no question. I'm not saying she's impossible, obviously. But the reason I'm so unfazed about her winning the Globe is a couple of things. What I was just mentioning before about, Bakalova probably still being fine despite losing to Rosamund Pike. When it seemed like she had no competition going in. It was weird. But another thing is I'm still really burned from last year when I got really confident about the 5th spot in actor being Taron Egerton. And Taron Egerton had a SAG nom to back him up, too. And don't forget, Taron Egerton ended up beating DiCaprio for that Globe. And DiCaprio got in just fine. So, because Andra Day won the Globe, I'm not going to automatically say, oh, well, she's obviously in it to win it. She very well could be. Like, I could be way off. But that Sophia Loren thing has been sticking out. And it's been sticking out more and more the more the movie keeps coming up. Like, it's pretty much got that spot in Song solidified. And Song might seem like it's really far down on the list, but if there's anything keeping your movie alive, and you're in the position that Sophia Loren is in, there's definitely a chance. And the reason I wouldn't be bumping out Kirby, because a lot of people have been saying for a while, is whether or not Kirby's vulnerable because Pieces of Woman isn't really getting much aside from her. But it's like, I'm kind of working on the math of if they go, even though I was saying before, oftentimes you'll find people try too hard to do the math when oftentimes there's Oscar results or nomination results that just don't add up. Like, that happens. But if I'm going in the right direction with Burston, that's going to clearly keep Kirby in this, I feel like. So okay. That's, and obviously, I don't want to say obviously because one of the multiple prime examples, Amy Adams in Arrival, Emma Thompson in Saving Mr. Banks, Tilda Swinton, and we need to talk about Kevin. I don't want to say anybody's definite, but I mean, we're all feeling good about Viola Davis, Frances McDormand, and Carey Mulligan, I assume. I don't imagine any of them are going to be a Thompson or a Swinton or a fucking Adams. So, yeah. Because it's not like Adams is gonna be here for, it's not like her SAG nomination is gonna carry over. Like, I get real defensive about Hillbilly Elegy when we're talking about supporting actress. Yeah, the Adams thing at SAG I think was just something weird. It was the weird SAG nom we usually get.
Yeah, as AJ pretty much said, McDormand, Mulligan, and Davis are the sort of locks in here. So with this one, there's two that are sort of up in the air. I ultimately went with Andra Day for US versus Billie Holiday and Sophia Loren for Life Ahead. As much as I've been sort of on the Kirby train for a number of months, because of how well it was received, I'm just wondering how much campaigning is being done in that regard, because there's a lot of roles that Vanessa could still get. Because for me, it was Loren that took out Kirby. I think the fact that the issue last year is Edgerton won the Globe, but I'm pretty sure that was musical or comedy, right?
Yeah, that was kind of, my DiCaprio argument was kind of that. I was going to say it does seem like Edgerton winning the Globe wouldn't be as big of a deal because Day won in drama, but it's the fact that he beat DiCaprio, I think, is why I went in on that so much.
Yeah, but to me, I'm just wondering, at least on the Globe front, whether Day actually getting the recognition, arguably in a category that it shouldn't be in. Because I have seen some people saying US versus Billie Holiday is a musical film, I guess because it's around a musical star. The fact that it made it into the drama and the hard hitters, I think it's enough to possibly get it in for the 5. And as I say, my only sort of on the fence one was Sophia. I think there's enough momentum behind that, because we do often get every once in a while a big sort of older actress getting in. I know this will open up the war wound again for AJ, but the actress that was nominated for Amour, I think, like 7 or 8 years ago,
Manuel Riva.
Mm-hmm. That's what I'm just thinking along the lines of, at least in terms of Sophia. But
you could also throw Foreign into that when Cotillard got in for 2 days, 1 night. That was the name of that movie, right?
Yeah.
Top Hat says it'll be historic if Bozeman gets the double. Brega said if Nomadland's basically Roma, then what if David Strathairn be Marina de Tavira? And it's possible.
There's always the possibility of De Tavira nominations out there. Or if you want to go a little farther back, Jackie Weaver in Silver Linings Playbook.
Yes. Top Hat mentioned something you did, AJ. The campaign has gotten too quiet for Kirby. I wouldn't be surprised if she didn't make it. And Top Hat goes with Davis, Day, Kirby, Dorman. Take a shot. McDormand and Mulligan. This is really easy. I have the same exact lineup that AJ does. I'm not. Sophia Loren is the surprise one for me. I feel that, like I alluded to earlier without giving it away, having a movie with Sophia Loren's name in the title, I feel that it's going to put that in someone's mind, and I feel that an actual performance from a very deserving person in Sophia Loren is going to be something that's going to get more accolades, and I feel that makes sense in my mind. There's always a veteran actress that gets in here, and I feel that this is where it happens. Andra Day, I feel like, was just a one-time thing. Shouldn't have happened. We're good to go. Let's go next.
I'm trying to remember back because of how it was featured last week in the Globes. Did Fonda get Oscar nominated for that few minutes that she had in Youth?
No. I kind of wish she had, but
I know she was.
I'm pretty sure she
did. Whether it was
didn't.
just like the Globes or the Critics' Choice or SAG where she was in, that's just niggling in the back of my head. It's.
I think it was. I want to say it was just Globe.
Yeah.
And maybe Critics' Choice, but who cares about Critics' Choice?
Hence why I'm watching AEW tomorrow night happily, and we're doing a podcast.
I tell you, if something comes through and only wins the Critics' Choice, and then also the Oscar, we'll have to rewrite the history books.
Next.
Best
Chadwick
Actor.
Boseman Award.
Cool.
Probably.
Yeah. Who's John? And it's going to be
people might get mad at me for a couple of reasons. But here's the thing. Remember, and this was something that I got nervous, like I'm not confident enough in it that I'm like certain, like I almost changed it before we started, but I said fuck it and just kept it the way I have it now. I went on the whole thing about Mank underperforming because of its coldness and all that thing. The whole thing I just went into. And that might seem petty because of my personal opinion of the movie, is just that I don't think it's that, doesn't leave much of an impact. And it might seem even more petty if I feel like Mank is going to underperform while a movie I love is going to overperform. And it might seem like I'm making decisions here that just don't make sense based on personal opinion. But for some reason, I feel like I should just go in on this. Like if I was feeling it, I should just go with it. So what I ended up with was Riz Ahmed for Sound of Metal, Chadwick Boseman for Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, Anthony Hopkins for The Father, Delroy Lindo for The Five Bloods, and Stephen Yeun for Minari. That's bringing in Delroy Lindo while snubbing Oldman, and I get what it probably sounds like. It sounds like I am favoring a movie I love over a movie that I don't. For an actor that's obviously hitting all the right marks, is beloved, is a previous winner, has a big ass part with a big ass performance in a movie about the movie industry, playing a big figure in the movie industry's past. By all accounts, Oldman is a given. But is it just me, or is that what he has going by itself without there necessarily being any passion for what he's actually doing in the movie? Am I imagining this, or is he just kind of been coasting on what his movie is and what kind of part that it is? In a way, coasting in a way that could be bumped off for something that might get passion votes. You say Gary Oldman's obviously got a massive committed fan base of peers, which is exactly what you need to be here. But how many people has Delroy Lindo worked with, and how much respect has he been building up for an entire career?
Yeah.
And giving the performance that he gives. And I kind of have, this is another thing where I have an example that works in my favor and an example that knocks it down. Where it was Hardy in The Revenant. I was so passionate about Hardy in The Revenant, and he just wasn't getting in anywhere. And I just kept saying, but he's too good. He's going to get in because he's too fucking good. That's all there is to it. And lo and behold, Hardy got in. The opposite side of this is I was saying the same thing about Dafoe in The Lighthouse last year. So, so those kind of cancel each other out. But this is a case, though, where I'm kind of back on that way of thinking, even if it fucked me over last year. And as you can see, I kind of have The Five Bloods overperforming anyway. And we haven't had PGA and DGA yet, so by the time PGA and DGA come out, it may not even be overperformance. It might be just, yeah, that's about right. Mm-hmm. But we don't know yet. The only thing we do know is that Lindo has missed everything except for that pathetic fucking 8 slotted Best Actor lineup at Critics' Choice, where obviously anybody was going to get in. But I know, like I said, I know what it sounds like. It sounds like I'm going for the movie I love and going against the movie I don't, but fuck it. At the end of the day, we're doing this for fun. So what is... But yeah, but needless to say, I feel good about Riz Ahmed, Boseman, Hopkins, and Yeun. So yeah, maybe I shouldn't be as confident in Stephen Yeun as I am, but I just am. So yeah, like I said, I know putting that, and that's the thing too, is why I'm harping on this so much, is I know it's equally insane to say that Linda will get in as it is that Oldman won't. I know both of those individually don't make sense, but I just feel the need to run with this. So fuck it. And I would say if you're angry over that, you're taking this too seriously. But then again, I've been talking about this for a good while now, so maybe I'm taking it too seriously. But but yeah, that's where I am on actor.
Ashley.
See, the locks were Riz Ahmed for Sound of Metal and Chadwick Boseman for Ma Rainey's Black Bottom and Anthony Hopkins for The Father and Stephen Yeun for Minari. And it was that fifth. And I was, to be fair, I was going through Oldman, Lindo, even possibly Hanks here for the fifth slot. But ultimately I did go with Oldman. But there was a lot of me, trying to work out what goes in that fifth. That's...
Yeah, pre last year, it would have been like, well, Hanks never gets in anymore, so screw that. But now that his snub streak has finally been broken, it doesn't seem that impossible.
It's less that. It's more like trying to work out what the Academy would probably vote for, and just because of the subject matter of the Hollywood stuff, I just fear that that's getting the edge over something else. Please let me be wrong. But, yeah. That's my 5.
Top Hats agrees. He said right time they were mad at
we are mad at your list.
Being nominated like the 2 popes last.
Oh god, yeah. I mean, I'm just hoping for the reaction video to just be, I fucking told you so, at certain bits. Either from myself or AJ. Uh-oh.
Person put in here. And
go ahead.
That's funny because of the way
do not just set. We are entering the twilight zone.
Like he was like, I knows that this was.
This is just tension mounting.
You guys are better. We can.
God damn it! Can the people at the park stop using their selfie sticks, please? We're trying to do a serious thing here. Go ahead, Owen. Let's hope the signal's a bit better.
Really, my page is close, but again, this is point 8. The best was actor. But at the end of the day, I just went what I thought was correct, and from Ma Rainey's Black Bottom Gary Oldman for Mank, Ed for Sound of Metal, and Steven Yeun for
Okay, I got 4.
Yeah.
What was the? I got Ahmed, I got Bozeman, I got Oldman, I got Yoon. Your mobile's like playing up, Owen. I didn't get the 5th. Is it Hopkins or?
yes.
Okay. Wow, that yes was delayed by about 20 seconds. What the shit? Damn it. It was all going well. And then 3 hours hit and it's like shit.
We only have 2 left.
Yeah. God, let's hope Best Picture is actually 7, so we're actually overcompensating.
All right, should we go into director?
Yes.
Oh, no delay then.
All right. Okay, you remember what I was saying about how people tend to not always remember that there's a lot of times where one movie gets nominated versus where it gets snubbed sometimes just doesn't add up. Sometimes just weird shit happens.
Right.
Okay, so I got David Fincher for Mank.
Damn it!
I don't no actor, no supporting actress, no screenplay, but yes, here I have Fincher. On top of Lee Isaac Chung for Minari, Spike Lee for The Five Bloods, Darius Marder for Sound of Metal, and Chloe Zhao for Nomadland. So obviously Spike has been kind of off the radar at the moment, but DGA could bring him back, and even if DGA doesn't bring him back, I'm still just feeling, once again, that could seem like bias because I love the movie, but we talk about the Academy trying to find moments. And it's like, would you not want, if this is Chloe Zhao's to lose, why not put her against her fucking teacher? I mean, that's a story in itself. But obviously the main thing that stands out here would be, instead of, say, Regina King or Emerald Fennell, much as I would love for Fennell to be here, often, not always, but pretty often, there's a curveball in director. Like when the Oscars vote for director, they are a lot more inspired than they get credit for. When you look at stuff like what happened with Paul Bukowski and Bennett Miller and stuff like that, and then when they went with Paul Thomas Anderson seemingly out of nowhere, the whole thing where they went with the big one where they went with Haneke and Zeitlin over Affleck and Bigelow in 2012. It's like they're always in. Lenny Abrahamson for Room, I remember feeling like it came from out of nowhere. It's like they do that constantly. Like they seem to really think about director when they're voting. And much like I was saying when I was really pushing for Bennett Miller in 2014, was if anybody just sees Sound of Metal, I have a hard time thinking that Martyr would not make an impact. So yeah, and obviously Minari's just been growing over time, so I feel like Lee Isaac Chung feels safe enough to me. So the only person I have 100% confidence in of all the 5 that I have is Chloe. But yeah, I mentioned a while back in a few videos that I felt like Fincher could do the Paul Bukowski Bennett Miller thing of getting in director without their movie doing really big things. And we'll talk about that in the next category, obviously. But yeah, so I feel like we're gonna have another totally sort of somewhat crazy direct situation going on.
I mean,
Ashley.
AJ, have you read any of the articles from Variety, like me and Owen have?
I don't think
Because there was
so.
something very interesting that cropped in there, which thankfully hasn't influenced my list too much. But apparently,
I'm afraid you're going to say something.
according to, well, because of what happened at the Globes, everybody's getting excited about, multiple women getting nominated for Best Director. According to the sources with Clayton, I can't remember the surname, that was at Awards Watching, is now at Variety. Their sources with inside the Academy voters are basically saying only expect one woman. So in that respect, you're pretty much on the nose.
So are you talking about Clayton Davis?
Yeah.
I've never read his stuff, but he would dick around on a forum I used to be on, and I hated him.
So I'm slightly swayed, but I'm going with two women. Along with Chloe Zhao, I am going with Emerald Fennell for Promising Young Woman. Along with Lee Isaac-Chung for Minari, David Fincher for Mank, and Aaron Sorkin for Trial of Chicago 7. I feel...
Yeah, I was saying before...
Yeah, I'm sort of surprised that Sorkin didn't feature on your list, AJ, but...
He did.
Yeah, it's one of the...
Until I took a really good look.
Yeah, it's one of those, number 6 that kicked out sort of thing, that sort of thing.
Yeah, because I feel like... Because, I mean, you can make a movie that's considered important... Because I was saying before, I'm not really sure now, but I was saying before that I felt like the Trial of Chicago 7 would be an easy choice for like a picture winner, like because it's almost it's like it's time for them to go safe again, and it's like if your movie is seen as important, you probably don't need a director nomination for it to still win. But I kind of had him in almost kind of like how Tom McCarthy was pretty safe for Spotlight, even though it wasn't really the direction that really kind of stood out in that movie, but McCarthy was kind of always consistent anyway. I kind of saw Sorkin in that light, but then, like I said, as I saw, knowing the curveballs that they throw in director and all the other choices, and I've known for a while I want to go down the Darius Marder road, like probably ever since I saw the movie, which was a while ago. So yeah.
Go ahead, Owen. Oh no.
Can he hear you?
There's... I don't know what to do. Quick.
I can hear fine.
Yeah.
No.
It's just everything else. I'm just having a quick look at the comments while... Top App saying, all fairness, since they were also acting their respective movies, it could have split the votes. Well, in terms of the directing, yeah. To some extent. Uh-oh. We refix the issue.
I'm trying to. Gimmick. Alright, here we go.
Right. Home stretch. Go ahead with your director list.
All right. I'm trying. Top answer, I think Promising Young Woman could sneak in here. I agree. Brad Guy says Darius Martin or Paul Greengrass could be one of the two directors getting an Oscar nomination without getting nominated anywhere else. That depends on what DJ and BAFTA say on Tuesday. Brad Guy says all the directors last year, Todd Phillips should have won for Joker, and Jojo Rabbit should have won for Picture.
I mean,
I'm a Once Upon a Time in Hollywood guy, so
I mean, you know, choo on the Parasite train.
I love Parasite too. Top Hat says, in all fairness, since they were also acting in their respective movies, it could have split the votes. And also sees why we don't have Regina King because of Affleck and Cooper's scenario. Mine's simple and easy. If I remember correctly, I have Ashley's lineup.
Oh, so Lee Isaac Chung for Minari, Emerald Fennell for Promising Young Woman, Fincher for Mank, Sorkin for Trial, and Zhao for Nomadland.
Yes.
I really hope Emerald Fennell makes it.
I think she deserves to, and I'm trying to will this into existence. I said, and you can back me up on this, anybody that was paying attention, which I'm sure you guys were, I said at the beginning of the race there would be multiple women in director. And I've always thought it was going to be 2. I never thought there would be 3.
Yeah.
Best
All
picture.
right. Oh, and remember what you were saying about you feel like you're underestimating the father?
Yeah.
I don't feel like I'm underestimating the father too much, but I wonder if I'm underestimating the father here.
Obviously, as you can tell, it's not in mine, but we'll see what we've got here.
So I feel like these feel pretty good. So I don't know, except for my whole Fincher will get in director without his movie. So I feel like with that math, it should be clear that my picture lineup is The Five Bloods, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, Minari, News of the World, Nomadland, One Night in Miami, Promising Young Woman, Sound of Metal, and Trial of Chicago 7.
Yep. That's an easy one. What do you got, Ashley?
Pretty similar, because I'm trying to copy and paste it over. I just, it's Minari, News of the World, Nomadland, One Night in Miami, Promising Young Woman, Sound of Metal, and Trial of Chicago 7. My other 2 are just The Father and Mank.
Did we specify yet, for any people that might be new, that we just kind of do a default 9 when we do this?
Yeah.
No, we didn't, but I think most should have made clear before we started, but with all the technical we've had recently, it's made it difficult to focus. So
I assume most of the people that find these are just like regulars at this point.
Oh, I'm sure.
The buzz supposedly is it could be as few as 6 or 7 this year.
I heard 6.
Yeah. Which is 6.
So the way the competition
Is 6 the minimum,
as
or
long
is
as
5 still the minimum?
5 still the minimum.
I feel like I've heard both,
Yeah.
so I don't remember for
That's
sure.
why I was trying to sort of think.
As long as our lineup is within, that's all that matters.
If it
we're still getting
if it's 10, we're still reasonably covered. If it was 10,
Yeah. Which, of course, would, in all of your situations, would probably be to sub in the movie that you didn't nominate as the 10th slot.
Yeah. I'd probably personally put Ma Rainey in as my 10th. AJ, for you?
Probably The Father.
I would have said Borat, but I didn't have help. I didn't have faith in nominating Cohen, so I'm probably going to have to say The Five Bloods. even though I have it nearly nowhere, but we see how that works in time anyway. My best picture lineup: Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, Mank, Minari, News of the World, Nomadland, One Night in Miami, Promising Young Woman, Sound of Metal, and Trial of the Chicago 7. And after a 3-hour show that had a myriad of technical issues towards the end, it caused me to lose my absolute mind.
If it makes you feel any better, they were all entertaining.
Yeah.
So...
I'm on a phone. That's not the problem. It's not my computer that's the problem. It's not my phone that's the problem. It's got to be the connection of some sort.
Yeah, whether it's just the Discord. I mean, I can't look at it now, but maybe I should switch to. Because I started the call, it probably went to the European server. So maybe if I switch it to US East, it might even out a bit better. So we'll try and do that for Monday.
I switched it to...
I can't. Well, I don't know whether I can. Hang on. Warning: we might have shit go down. Yeah.
No, we're going to do that later.
If no, but I can switch it. The only way I can switch region is going away from full screen, and then other stuff pops up on screen. So
check out Brian's Oscar predictions on his channel next week. Top Hat says 10th would be Five Bloods, The Father, One Night in Miami, Mank, Ma Rainey, Minari, News of the World, Nomadland, Promising Young Woman, and The Trial of the Chicago 7. I feel like these all seem to be pretty solidified at this point. I don't see any surprises sneaking in, unless you want to count The Father as a surprise, and for me that would be, but I guess it would. Think about it.
I'd say the only thing we'd be underestimating maybe would be Judas and the Black Messiah.
It's a possibility.
Yeah.
It really is. But I don't have it nearly anywhere, so it doesn't feel justified to put it anywhere else.
And of course, the issue is you're less likely to get the left field thing the smaller the field is, arguably. So if it is a smaller field, then there's more sort of certain locks that make it much less likely. So.
Right. So that's your show. Hopefully everything will work better on Monday. We'll be live somewhere probably in like the 6:30 range.
Yeah, 6:30 is what I'm going to set it to in terms of video. So
we will most likely start earlier, but 6:30 is what we're shooting for. Basically because I work till 5:30, so I can make it home by 6, but we may want to make sure we have a couple minutes to prep and things like that. Yeah. So somewhere in the 6 range. So that 3 hours later, that's your show, everyone. That's what we're predicting for the Academy Awards nominations. And when nominations morning comes on the Ides of March, you will have us here to react directly.
And analyze directly.
Yes. Right afterwards, we'll do a legitimate podcast. So if you have any questions in chat, as anybody that's been following along for a bit knows this, we don't look at anything on reactions except for reacting. So if you have any questions in chat, literally save them for the podcast you're going to get right afterwards, because we will 100% go into everything. Ashley, we can find you on social media at Ash is my name UK. Yes. Brian just alluded to, and I did do while we were doing this. Your Friday video this week is a snack stash, so that just got posted. Saturday will be this Popcast right here, and then Sunday, AJ's got Versus one more time. No cryptic comments or anything. You just have to wait and see what cool movies we're going to be putting against the other this time around. And AJ's back on Tuesday with a new edition of AJ's movie reviews. And of course, on Sunday, we're not doing a podcast of any kind because it's AEW Revolution. And that's the reason why the Critics' Choice Popcast will be on Monday evening, somewhere in the 6:30 range as well. And then we're back here our regular scheduled time, 7:00 p.m. between the 6 and 7 range again on Saturday for our BAFTA and Guilds predictions. So AJ, of course, cannot be found on social media, and also just like like Keith Richards cannot be killed by conventional weapons. So needless to say,
don't say that, they'll try.
Oh, tell her to kill, not do that. So I did mention Are We Live at the very beginning, so we've already circled back around to the beginning, so that's the reason it's time to take it home. So yes, AJ does this thing years down the line where he answers your questions. So he'll probably do that in another couple of years as well. So
I will say one thing real quick. Assuming anybody's still here at this point.
There's
people. I don't mean to be as aggressive as I am when it comes to doing.
It's kind of funny.
When it comes to doing predictions, it's just comments are so predictable in how hostile they can be. I'm basically trying to beat them to the punch, I guess. Because obviously, like I was saying, at the end of the day, we're really just doing this for fun, and they don't matter. So
it's just.
So yeah, it's all in good fun, even if there's some legit anger from time to time.
Correct. Top Hat says now we wait next week to see if the Academy Awards So yeah, that's the show. Thanks everyone for joining us for this entire season so far, and more
That's the greatest thing ever.
And we've got a lot of stuff. Wow.
Hang on, quick. Save a Sandra O with your weird dinosaurs, because I need to do that. And then... Oh, wait, it already is at US East. What the flip? Okay, there goes that idea. Screw it, I'm going to switch to Europe. This is Avon calling. Is that going to make it any better? Apparently not. So on that bombshell, we'll just stay with her. Hang on, we'll switch back. Stay with that screenshot. Thanks everybody for watching and listening. You know, there's a billion podcasts out there. Most of them don't have technical issues. This one does, because we be a Popcast. Until tomorrow, boys and girls. That's all Craig has got to say about that. It's your fault, Craig. I blame you, bastard.